begin our meeting. Tonight is September 10th, 2015. We're here in beautiful Ayer Town Hall for the Conservation Commission meeting. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance to our nation's flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Any changes to the agenda?
Don't believe so.
All right.
This is bad. We're missing George and copy sheet.
That just means no dirty looks. This is typically a part where I would go around and see if anybody had any changes that they needed to make. So I would accept a motion to approve the agenda as written.
So moved.
Excellent.
Second that?
Yes.
Perfect. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
See, it's a win-win. All right. It is 7:15. So why don't we start with our 7:10 welcome to new Commissioner Bonnie Tillotson. Good evening and welcome.
Thank
and
you.
new Conservation Administrator Brian Colleran. Thank you, Brian. Excited to have you here.
Yeah, this will be fun.
All right, let's start with our 7:15. We have a request for determination of applicability for 78 Sandy Pond Road.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Robert Oliver. I'm an engineer with David E. Ross Associates here in town. I guess before we get started, I have a check for the advertising, Jazz.
Fantastic.
All right.
And 60 feet. I can now give this to our new
Hey.
Pass that
Conservation
along.
Administrator.
Here, right.
you're smiling quite a lot.
There'll be a lot of moments like that tonight.
Not at all bereft.
So I am here on behalf of Hagel LLC, who is the owner of property at 78 Sandy Pond Road. In addition to owning 78 Sandy Pond Road, they own 76 Sandy Pond Road, the abutting property. Both properties on Sandy Pond Road. In fact, the town beach is right next door. The proposal in front of you is a request for determination of applicability to remove the existing house on 78 Sandy Pond Road and construct a new single-family home further back from the pond. The existing house is, from what I'm told, is very old. It's not worth rehabbing or remodeling, so the decision has been made to remove it and build a new house in its place. The owner of the property is actually living currently at 76 and intends to move over to 78. The house had been rented, the existing house. There was a fire, nobody's living in it at the moment. So that's where this has all been driven from. The construction is all within the 100-foot buffer zone. The lot's developed now. It's in back of the house out towards Sandy Pond Road. It's all lawn. There's an existing gravel driveway which would remain and be used for the new house. So the new house would have a garage out onto the existing gravel driveway, pushed up almost as far as zoning will allow to get it away from the pond as much as we can. So besides the house construction and the removal of the existing house, there are two trees that the owner would like to remove. There's a pine tree. It's actually a large pine tree, but it's fairly dead. It has a lot of dead limbs going up it, and a maple tree which is also in rough shape. And those are actually on the pond edge. So what he's proposing is to take the tree down and leave the stumps. And those are located right here off the corner of the existing house.
Can you stand the plan up for 1 second?
Sure.
So, I guess everything I've heard, so the new foundation,
Yes.
so complete excavation, all 100% within the buffer zone. Why did you do an RDA?
We did an RDA. There's not, other than the foundation excavation, there's not a lot of earthwork. It would fit into the existing grades with a walkout basement off the part of the house, the back of the house facing the pond. We thought it was simple enough construction. We certainly would expect that you would issue conditions if you approved a negative determination. It's the path the owner wanted to take in proceeding, so that's how we did it. It's straightforward construction. I understand it's in the buffer zone.
It's 100% in the buffer zone.
Correct.
It's a complete excavation.
Yes.
It's a complete tear down, and it's next to the resource.
Yes.
Do you have any questions, Jess?
I'd say it sounds like a notice of intent to me.
Does the existing house have a basement with a
No,
foundation?
No, it has some part crawl space and just part slab on grade. So it's a combination. We've shown erosion control barrier, straw wattles, basically around the entire lot. There would be a sewer connection to an existing line from the house at 76 and reconnecting to the existing water service. So there's utility connections as well.
So, under every parameter we've discussed, this is an NOI.
Yes, I understand. We were hoping that the commission would see fit that it's straightforward. I was hoping it could be approved with the normal conditions you would put forth on notice of intent applications if that's what you required. But I understand that potentially it could be a notice of intent filing as well.
Is the applicant available? Are you available to walk it this Saturday morning?
I could be there, yes.
Can you do it early?
I can do it as early as you like.
So, I bet you have a longer drive than I do. That's all.
I do. That's fine.
Could you be there for 8?
I can be earlier if you like.
Be there for 7:30?
Sure.
Okay. So, we can walk it. If we were doing a notice of intent, we would walk it anyway.
Mhm.
The fact that I'm agreeing to do the walk does not mean that I'm accepting this as an application in any way, shape, or form. Everything screams that this is a bad idea. I'd like to walk it with you anyway, just to get a feel for the property.
Okay, understood.
I do know in high water, or when we've had extreme, a lot of water in the area, that there has been water right up to that back door in the existing building.
Of this particular house.
Yeah, it's the greenhouse, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because
The
I
little one
know
down,
somebody.
down below.
Yeah.
So,
I know somebody who used to live there,
I see.
previous tenant before the fire.
Okay.
So I do know she would say, in some of the really rainy seasons we've had, there's been water right up to the back. It's pretty low.
all right. So, 78 Sandy Pond Road.
A butter.
I live at 80 Sandy Pond Road.
Oh, good evening. Give me 1 second, please. So, 78 Sandy Pond Road, 7:30 on Saturday morning. Just if I don't put it in here, it'll get forgotten. Okay. Anyone else have any other questions or comments before we move on? Okay. Sir?
I was just wanting to put out there that I am the next door neighbor, and I have no issue with with what they're trying, want to do. The property the house is pretty dilapidated, and it does need pulling it away from the water would probably be good. The water does come up, but it's a very sandy soil, so the water drains off. Any rain, like today's rain, will fill up the yard a little, and then it sinks right in pretty quick. So it's a very, pretty sandy area as far as drainage goes.
No, I appreciate the information. Okay, if no one has anything else, then I would accept a motion to continue this public hearing to our next meeting, September 24th.
And it's technically a public meeting.
Public meeting, excuse me, I did say hearing by accident, you're absolutely right. Pending a site walk to occur on September 12th, 7:30 a.m. Anyone who wants to come is welcome to join me. You do not pretend if you do not want to drive from meeting for 10 minutes of site walk.
To be fair, I was going to say at some point that I'm already gone by then. We've got a thing that was planned for a while, so
Good for you.
yeah.
Just would like to say, Bruce from the Historic Commission had stopped me with a request that the Historic Commission would like to photograph the house before it's raised, because it's over 100 plus years old.
Okay.
Interesting.
George was going to represent that, but he then informed them he wasn't going to be here tonight.
Right. Well, that's good to know.
Do they want to do that themselves? Do
Yeah.
they need permission to enter the property
I
or
think they
anything
need
like that?
permission to enter the
Okay.
property. I think they just wanted to do outside photos.
Okay.
from what I understood.
I don't know if it helps. I suppose I could grant permission on behalf of the owner. I don't think it's an issue. I'll just let him know.
Okay, all right.
But as you said, no one's living in the house.
No one is currently living in it now.
Okay.
And the owner lives next door, so.
Right. Okay. So, would someone like to make a motion to continue this public hearing to the 24th?
Moved?
So moved.
Oh, so moved.
Second moved.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Excellent.
Thank you. See you
Robert, thank you.
See you Saturday.
morning. Okay,
So that one gets tabled.
we have a public meeting in 5 minutes. Let's take 2 seconds. We're very careful with our time,
That's fine.
even when we're late. Public meeting minutes. Let me review those real quick.
Actually, there's no point.
That's hurtful.
Well, is there, because Bonnie actually technically can't vote on these,
Sure. So it'd just be you and I, so no one could vote on them.
so we can't vote?
You and I can't vote. Well, we can vote, but she would abstain.
She would abstain, and that's not a
Quorum.
quorum.
You don't have a quorum.
Well, no, we still have a quorum with your abstention.
Oh.
Oh,
But-
would that be,
But it doesn't matter. It makes more sense to have the two people who would have been involved and need to understand if the meeting minutes are accurate or not be here, especially with nitpicking George.
right.
That's right. I said nitpicking George. This is what's supposed to say. All right, so we'll hold that for the next one. Do we have any announcements that we can make in the 4 minutes before we disenfranchise any folks who live here in town?
No.
Excellent. Any accounts payable?
No.
Nothing came in. Well, this is like a magic
You're gonna
night.
have to get used to looking over there. We're in
I know.
that transitional
Everybody's
phase.
necks are trained. The muscles on the one side are stronger.
Yeah, it's sad. It's actually, I can't even turn my head this way anymore. It's just so built up. Okay. Why don't we start with our 7:30? So we have a public meeting, request for determination of applicability by Environmental Partners Group in the town of Groton for a proposed sewer extension.
My name is Ryan Allgrove. I'm an engineer with Environmental Partners Group, presenting
Alright.
the town of Groton today. So, I can give you my card if it makes it easier. Just write everything down. So, I'll give you a little background on the overall project before I kind of get into the specifics of this.
Please do.
Before you start, I want to demand a check.
Oh, I thought they said check, but they might not have. I don't have a check on me unless you take cash. Which you probably do.
On camera, but yes, but no, still not a good idea.
That's
So-
We'll deal with this at a later date.
Okay. This is part of the Groton Four Corners Sewer Extension Project, which I'm guessing you might be aware of.
But we're a little bit aware of it, so
So they are sewering the Four Corners area in Groton, the Westford Road, Sandy Pond Road intersection. And it's just those 4 or 5 properties up in that, the commercial properties up there.
sure.
And they're running pressure sewer down Sandy Pond Road into Ayer, and once it gets into Ayer on Westford Road, it's going to be gravity sewer all the way down and tying into the existing sewer system on Nemco Way.
Huh. How
Yeah.
is this stored now? And I'm not actually agreeing that stored is a verb, but how is this stored now?
It's all septic systems now.
Wow.
So that whole part of the project has nothing to do with this. It's just the reason we're doing this. So as part of the agreement that's kind of still being negotiated, but there is a memorandum of understanding between the two towns. As part of Ayer supplying the capacity for Groton to send their sewage to it, this section of sewer at the intersection of Willow Road and Westford Road, which is downstream of where we're tying in,
Right.
there's this section of, I think it's like 500 feet of gravity sewer, 12-inch, that was identified in a previous study.
Is that behind the old school?
Yes.
Okay. So I just want to make sure I was right.
Yeah, so it was identified as being too small, just this section of sewer. It's 12-inch now. So
12-inch is too small.
12-inch diameter, yeah, it's too small. So this part of the project will upgrade it to 15-inch, and so that there's it reduces the potential for backups.
Okay. So is this gravity from Nemco? It's got to be force.
You know what? Nemco goes down as a pump station down behind Nemco. That's actually, I think, They
It's
just
at,
recently got bids
right,
into.
the time you spine.
Yeah, it's right
Yep.
by the not CSX, the railroad.
Yeah,
And
we
so
just,
that-
we did the application, they're doing a new generator.
Yeah.
Right, new pump.
So that pumps up the hill, and it ends up back here somehow. I think it
And no, that would make sense. There's a,
circuitous way.
yeah, you'd probably hit a structure at the top of that hill where the condos are, and then it would be gravity down through here.
Yeah. So we tried to get gravity all the way to here, but there's a dip in the road right at Nemco that you just the elevations don't work.
Sure.
So we're using that pump station, and so this is kind of just part of the deal. This piece right here.
Necessity.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So it's replace in kind. Like I said, it's 12-inch now. It'll be 15-inch, so not significantly larger, anyways. It's the depth is probably, I think it's 5-6 feet to about 8 feet at the lowest point here on Willow, and it's in the buffer zone. This is like a you're probably familiar. It sounds like you're familiar with it. It's like a little paved driveway type thing that
Right.
goes around the corner, cuts the corner. So that's where the sewer is now. There's one sewer manhole that will replace where it is. So the final product, no one will probably know that anything happened, but
Right.
the sewer will have a little bit more capacity.
Is this the entirety of the application?
Yes, this is it.
So the connection for Nemco, all that work up above,
There's no,
all
No.
that's out of the buffer?
yeah, there's no jurisdiction up there.
Okay, so you're coming down the road, so, and I'm not mistrusting you, I just want to make sure I
Yeah.
understand the whole project.
Yeah, there is in Groton, but we'll be able to
Sure,
check
sure,
next
and
week.
Takashi told us about that.
Yeah,
So you're coming out of Shaw's, you're coming down through Groton, you
Yep.
hit Ayer,
yep.
Shanklin, that area? Are you connecting at that point?
It's where the power lines cross, the big power
Right,
transmission lines are.
So you're connecting to existing sewer there?
No, there's no sewer there now.
Really?
There's nothing there.
Huh,
The end of the system is Nemco.
did not realize that.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're running main gravity fed
Yep.
all the way down the road till you hit Nemco, which is a
Yep.
significant drop off the road.
Yep.
How do you get to that? That area's in the buffer.
Nemco?
Yeah. So we just did Catania Spagna, and there is a wetland to the
It
east,
may, yeah.
and there's a pond right next to the Nemco Way structure where, unless we're on the different path, there's a pump station right down there
Yeah.
at Nemco. If you're hitting that pump station,
Yeah, so we're only going a couple hundred feet into Nemco. So
Okay.
we're not going anywhere close to that far.
okay, that's what I was trying to. That's
Yeah.
when
Yeah, Nemco
when you
keeps
were coming
going.
down that way. That was our main concern. Was where were you making the
Yeah.
connection?
The first
I got you.
the first manhole we could grab it. It's like, I think it's like 300 feet from Westford Road. So it's
Okay.
not too far in.
I would greatly appreciate if you supply a copy of that plan to Brian, or an electronic copy.
Of the whole
Overall.
Yep.
Just so that later on then, is that the whole thing?
I think so. We were looking at it earlier.
Yeah, that's kind of a red line on a very
Yeah.
big scale. I can
Yeah,
send
huge.
you something.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah.
That
Yeah, this
picture
is,
you-
right, so this is what I remember us
We've got the
seeing.
data.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Can you send us an electronic copy?
Yeah.
If nothing else, so one of the things that will happen, just so you know, one of the select persons in town lives down in that area. There's a neighborhood down below. So he had already had questions about some of the other applications, so I would feel remiss if I couldn't at least understand what the connection process
Yep.
was. So you're coming down from Shaw's all the way down to Nemco Way, hitting a structure there.
Yep.
It goes down into the town's existing pump station,
That's right.
force main out of there,
Yep.
and then from there comes up over the hill. You said you hit a dip, unfortunately, but you'll have to go a ways.
Yeah, we're just, once we tie into that structure,
You're done
we're done.
until here,
Until there, this is just a kind of,
increase in the size.
right, because
capacity.
we're making more flow come in, so this is kind of a little bit of a bottleneck, so it's kind of a mitigation.
Who did the engineering for this?
This is Environmental Partners.
Okay, reviewed by the town engineer.
Yeah, Mark Wetzel.
So there's also so Mark is the DPW director.
Yep.
There's also a new town engineer. Have you met him?
I don't think so.
Okay. I'm going to assume that if you're before us, it's because Mark knows about it and I'm not
Yeah,
entirely
he's
worried
been.
about it?
I've met with him several. He's all on board with. We're not at 100% design yet, so he's got some more review to do. But conceptually, he's on board. with
No,
it.
I would just be remiss if I didn't ask.
Yep.
Okay, and this is the only work that's jurisdictional from here out. Is there any additional work from there toward where the treatment station is?
Not for this part of the project.
Okay. So at this point, you have excavation, excuse me, in this area and a new pipe to put in.
Yep.
Come up the road, you're gonna hit the structure at Nemco Way, a bit into Nemco Way, run main, gravity fed main, all the way into Groton Four Corners.
Yep.
That's the project.
That's the project.
Fair enough. Okay. I'm assuming this has not been staked or located?
No, but the existing manholes are there, so
Sure.
you could see the manhole that's there, and it's just connecting the dots really. It actually might be painted because we did some borings out here,
Okay.
and it was dig safe, so there's probably a bunch of paint up there still.
It was dig safe, there's paint probably everywhere.
Yep.
Okay.
So, and we did a bunch of borings, and the groundwater wasn't high enough to be a concern at that point in time. It's been a pretty dry summer, so we're hoping that we don't have to even deal with groundwater in the trench.
Would be nice.
Would be great.
Would be the first. All right, so, and if you'll forgive us, Ryan, I'm going to waver off the path just for a second. So, Brian, this is the exact kind of application where we would look for you to visit the site ahead of time, potentially with the engineer representative or others, just to have a peek at it before we met in our meeting. If there were any concerns about it or other information that needed to be developed, we could hold a site meeting. We hold a site meeting for every notice of intent, period. But usually requests for determination of applicability we can handle kind of as a much more simpler application, and so therefore it's a much more simpler discussion. However, any kind of work like this needs to be walked in general. I drive by this property almost daily, so I know where it is and I know what they're going to need to do. Where do you show your hay bales? How far off your path?
It basically
Edge of the
kind
edge
of
the
drops
wood line?
off, so right at the
Yep.
edge of the wood line now.
Perfect.
Yep.
Okay. So, only because I know this property. I don't have any real concerns about the project, but I do definitely want to know, especially as we've discussed, want to know the extent of the project. Because as you can imagine, especially with something like this, sometimes things change. Sometimes we start digging and we hit ledge. Sometimes we start digging and we figure out that we can't do what we hope to do. And you hope that doesn't happen, and I hope for your sake that doesn't happen, but it does happen. So having an understanding of the project before it gets going is huge. So.
Speaking of understanding projects, while we're on the topic, it said PVC pipe for sewer?
Yep.
Is
it'll
this
be
PVC like I think of PVC, or is this, like
Probably.
sewer grade PVC?
Yeah, it's not kind of the stuff you
This isn't like
train
going
the
down Home
foundation
Depot
with,
and-
but it's it's sewer grade PVC.
Well, and it's
SDR
also,
35. Bill Bellin's spigot. It's it kind of pushes together the gasket. They're like 18-foot lengths.
It's amazing.
yeah, it's just like, so when you do water main, which is cast iron, does the same thing, Bellin, and has a gasket inside. When you do gas, you literally weld the pieces together
Yeah.
with, is that HDPE?
Yeah, they're mostly now. Yeah, they're doing HDPE with gas.
So you use a special tool that heats up the two ends, pull it out, push them together, hold it for so long, and
I just have
perfect
never
job.
known PVC. I mean, my exposure to PVC obviously is limited, but I just
Well, it's like saying car. Means about the same thing.
Yeah, there's PVC you can do water mains with that will take 200 pounds of pressure. There's all sorts of
that's incredible.
Gradations.
those pipe guys are always coming up with something.
Unreal.
Something faster and cheaper.
Yep.
Okay. So at this point, Jess, do you have any questions for Ryan?
Just when do you propose to do the work?
This will be next year, probably summer work, I would guess. This piece.
Pretty far off.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So it's all tied into a grant that the application is in. So if the grant gets accepted, we put it out to bid and construction next year.
What if you don't get the grant?
That's up for the town to decide, not me.
Bonnie, do you have any questions about the project?
I do not.
Excellent. Do you have a feel for what kind of work this is? Have you ever seen any of this done?
I have driven by,
Sure.
pipelines going in.
It'll look exactly
sewers
like that.
going
An
in.
excavator digging a trench and lay the pipe and backfill it.
Right.
Keep going.
Bunch
Yep.
of guys throwing their coffee cups in the hole.
Yep.
I mean, nuts. Compactor going along.
Yeah.
You could put that in the conditions.
I would.
Compostable coffee
no,
cups.
No, you don't put conditions in that you know are going to be broken. It just ruins everything. Bad for discipline. Okay. Do you have anything to add?
I don't think so. I think that covers it.
Okay. So at this point, most likely, I don't see any reason to not do so. I would entertain a motion to issue a negative determination of applicability. And so a negative determination means that this project of the law does not apply to this project. So even though the project is inside the buffer zone, and even though the law says that a project inside the buffer zone would follow certain conditions, we're issuing a negative determination. It doesn't apply. And I don't even have any special conditions to add because the plan showed exactly what I'd be looking for, which is hay bales, and obviously they're not going to have any soil storage. They're putting a pipe that comes in, goes away. So I would entertain that motion.
So moved.
I second that. I second that.
Excellent. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much. So Ryan, what we would look for
Money.
is we're going to sign. Do we have a copy?
Uh-huh.
We're going to sign tonight.
You want to send the whole thing down to
Oh,
just
the whole thing?
Yeah,
It's
just
a big day.
And put that back.
Back on
Do
the
a
back
different-
page?
Oh, no,
No,
put
front,
it on the,
front.
yeah, because you want to
Front,
sign
front,
the one. Yeah.
Yeah.
But Bill always signs it first as a chair.
It's a good thing.
You've got to train these newbies.
None of this left to right business. Amateur.
Oh, and one of the questions would be, we'll mail this to you certified.
Right.
It doesn't sound like a question.
It wasn't a question, since you're in no hurry, since this will be next spring.
Yeah,
or
right.
next spring, summer.
Yeah, I don't need it
we'll
tomorrow,
do-
I think.
we'll do that.
So this includes Shaw's up at the four corners, right?
Yep.
So they're currently on, they have a.
They have their
septic?
own little
Their own-
treatment system. Yeah, big leaching field. That whole parking lot, a big chunk of that's a bleaching field. Yeah.
So what's gonna happen to that once the sewer goes in?
They won't need it anymore. They'll just
Will they
abandon it.
abandon it?
Yeah, I
Just
don't
let it-
know.
Let it,
DEP probably has some regulation. And well, yeah, when you abandon a septic tank or a leaching field, there are DEP regulations,
Right.
so they'll have to follow all that. But they get a bunch of expensive treatment process. They get, it's like the BioClear or something like that. I can't remember what they call it.
Can you please tell me what the date is on the plan?
August 2015.
So the only thing I'm going to do is I'm going to check box number 3. Work described in the request is within the buffer zone as defined in the regulations and will not alter an area subject to protection under the Act. Therefore, any work does not require the filing of a notice of intent subject to the following conditions, follow mitigation per plans, August 2015. So, if you're this early in the planning stage, should we anticipate that you're going to make changes?
No, I don't really think there's this piece right here. We know the pipe can go there because there's already a pipe there. We're not going to be lowering the inverts or anything. We're going to match inverts, so I don't really see an alternative coming up to replacing that piece exactly where it is. So I don't anticipate it.
Okay.
The rest of the project, I make no promises.
That's
Well,
what it's about.
as far as this is concerned, so our plan is for this particular section,
Right.
and that's what counts. I'm going to pass it this way only because after that goes all the way around. Okay, so please determine if the check has come in
I will.
or has been sent, and please send this out as soon as you have the check. No offense to Ryan, but
No.
we will get beaten up by the lady who works in the office right over there if you don't have the money.
She looks so friendly though.
Wait, shit.
For now, sure. You've seen any number of horror movies where that changes. It's not a surprise anymore.
Look at you. It's not my money. So.
Fair enough.
Don't bother me. Not what you want.
What you do?
It seems like such a small increase. You know, 3 inches.
Ah, well, hold on.
Well, I mean, this
Range is in
engineering.
diameter.
I
So
know.
that's when you have to go out and do all the math. That's a huge amount of volume.
It's probably another 1,000 gallons a minute you can get through that pipe, something like that.
That's amazing. I know, but it seems so small anyway. You're like, oh, a mere 3 inches. Nearly.
Just
And yet.
It
three.
almost doesn't seem worth it.
All right.
It seems like a wasteful project.
Oh, there we go. Well, Brian, thank you very much.
Well, thank you.
Look forward to seeing the full plans by email, please.
Yes, I'll send you an electronic copy.
Thank you very much.
And the check.
Is you've got the email. It's our email. Okay, sorry. I don't have an email yet, do I? I
Yeah.
just have the group
You have
email.
the
Oh.
email.
I have the email. I don't have a.
You do have yours.
Oh, do I?
Be till.
You don't
I
have to
don't
sign
have.
for this. You're
Yeah,
good.
sorry.
Thanks, Ryan.
I thought it was relevant, and then I thought
Have a good
about
night, sir.
But yours automatically also goes to the Concom. So.
Fair
So
enough.
wait, so he gets his own?
Yeah, Becky always had her own too, but
What?
yeah, but it also default goes to Concom Air.
Are you sure?
We haven't had this chat yet up in technology.
That's okay. We're going to do that after because it doesn't matter for
Anyway.
the purposes of our open meeting. So, 7:45 discussion. The drainage easement for Catania Spagna.
That's that green folder.
Mhm. What do we want to see?
Why don't you pass me the whole thing and we'll.
All right.
We were
Thank you very much.
got a request that town council suggested that we sign off on this drainage easement. Robert prepared a short one-page little explanation of it. And I just had in the back here some of the email correspondence before that, but
Okay, so. Oh, this is the area they cleared.
yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, funniest looking easement I've ever seen. Okay.
Well,
It's what, 4 sections and like 100 square feet? Whatever that works out
no,
to.
actually, this is actually pretty long.
Actually, you could probably pass out copies to
Are there copies to pass out?
Pass out,
Papa
I'm
Canooch.
feeling a little left out.
yeah. Aren't you? Me too.
I didn't realize there were copies to pass.
Yeah, that was one of the things I didn't get the chance to look too far into, but just visually, it looks like a funny.
One each. How about that? Okay, so let's see. Dear Honorable Commission members and the Conservation Commission, on Tuesday, September 1st, 2015, Air Board of Selectmen unanimously approved the attached easement confirmation agreement with Ayer Realty, as well as unanimous approval of a drainage easement as presented on September 1st by Ayer Realty. Attorney Air Town Council, Catherine Lord Klein, prepared these legal instruments as advised that the Conservation Commission should review the easement confirmation agreement and drainage easements in open session meeting and vote to sign the signatory page. Please refer to Town Council's email to me and attached plan showing the site of the drainage easement that is being confirmed by the easement confirmation agreement. As recommended by Town Council, in order to assure as good title, as soon as recommended both Board of Selectmen and Conservation Commission sign this instrument. I have never even heard of an easement confirmation agreement. Heard of easements. I know of people who've been confirmed, but I've never heard of an easement confirmation agreement. All right, so let's figure what that means. From Robert, Bill and Jess, greetings and good morning. Last night we unanimously approved an MOU. Memorandum of Understanding? Must be.
Mm-hmm.
Regarding their rail expansion project. Additionally, they approved a drainage easement with rainwater off the roof. Wait, what?
We just got this last Tuesday.
Okay, so let's go backwards. This building, Catania Spagna, they came to us 6 months ago.
Yeah.
Year ago?
January.
They came to us and they said, we'd like to, so they have a rail siding, and they said, we'd like to put a roof over the rail siding. They said, all the water that comes off of it will travel down through a pipe, and there is a wetland resource right here, and they said, the water coming off the roof will be completely roof water. No parking lot water, completely roof water, and it will run down and go into the wetland. We said, okay, swell. And they said, we are going to And so I remember them discussing this. We are going to be doing something with the people who are next to us because it isn't our property. Okay, so now when I look at this and I see the yellow and the orange areas, what appears to make sense about that is that the folks who are to the east of them, down the hill, Ardent, they own the property right up to the edge of where Catania Spagna is, and at this time it's wooded. So Catania is clearing over, taking out some of the wooded area, and then building the roof over where their rail siding is, expanding and building the roof over the rail siding. But as you can tell on here, it appears that that drainage easement, which again is just for the roof water, that drainage easement is in the area of Ardent's property. Oh, wait a minute. That's funny. So the yellow and the orange areas appear to be in Ardent's property, but the green area is Town of Ayer. Isn't that queer?
What's the blue one? Did you say that?
Well, the blue one doesn't make sense at all.
Good. That
blue
makes me feel
one-
better.
The blue one suggests that Ardent's property runs all the way up. So what is the point of a drainage easement in the orange and yellow areas? Okay, so what this means is where we were standing during our site walk, we were on Ardent's property. We were on Ardent's property almost the entire time until we came down the hill and walked across into the field on the side of the wetland, and then we were in the Town of Ayer's property. We were on Catania Spagna's property for about 3.5 seconds.
But this is a drainage easement with Catania Spagna.
It is, but look at the way look at the configuration.
Yeah,
What this is saying is that this isn't the edge of Ardent's property.
yeah.
Ardent's property goes all the way over to this hash line here. If it didn't, then you wouldn't need the blue easement.
Right.
So Ardent's property goes past this utility and drainage easement to the building. Okay. So I should say, for those folks who have not done a whole lot of easement work, have you done easement work?
Now and again, but not like this. This is a unique creature, I think.
It certainly is. Bonnie, have you done anything with an easement before?
This is, no.
Okay. So basically what an easement is a right, I'm not going to say a right of passage or a grant of passage, but an easement is usually with specificity the granting of a right to use property that doesn't belong to you.
Right.
So for instance, if you had a house in the woods and you ran telephone poles back to your house, the determination of where the telephone company and the power company stop is based on your granting them an easement. So if you say, nope, you stop at the road, they put your meter out at the road and everything from there is you. If you say, no, I want my house and my kid's house and my daughter's house, and you want to do a project, then they would extend it back onto your property and they would require that they had an easement, which was the width of the area for the wires and 12 feet, plus or minus, for their truck to travel down and take care of whatever went wrong with the wiring. So an easement is a grant of right to utilize a property or a section of a property, and it usually is, again, specific, whether it's utility or drainage, etc. You can't just do anything on it. It's for that purpose. Okay. So interestingly, this path goes through Ardent's property. That would also suggest, so that's it, but didn't they talk about buying that parcel?
I don't remember that.
I swear, I remember them talking about buying a chunk of property from Ardent, which would be this section between the yellow and the building.
Well, you guys were off in some area where I didn't
Well,
go down
and
the steep slope.
Don't get me wrong, and to be frank, it doesn't matter. It's
Yeah.
not essential to this discussion.
But it's
So-
very intriguing how they came up with this. Like, just the surveying work must be very, very precise.
Well, clearly there's more to it than you would imagine. Yes, they do have to do meets and bounds. So Most surveys that you see are compiled surveys. Most of the time, a survey that's done is not done where someone actually goes and researches all the parcels around to determine. So when you own a piece of property and you say, I own that piece of property, the boundaries of that property are a lot more fungible than you might like to think, because your property was chopped out of a bigger property, which was chopped out of a bigger property, which was chopped out of a bigger property, and unless you go back and you follow the deeds of all those properties, someone later on will say, actually, your house is 20 feet to the left of where it's supposed to be. And that's unfortunately not uncommon. In this particular case, in order to do an easement, they would have had to gone out, they would have had to truly shoot it in the field, they would have marked it, they would have created this plan, which they then stamp, although interestingly this is not stamped. They would stamp it, and then upon agreement of the easement, they would file it at the Registry of Deeds, and at that point it becomes official. So, I shouldn't say file it at the Registry of Deeds, they record it at the Registry of Deeds. So, they've asked us to sign off on this drainage easement.
So are we just signing off on the blue section of the easement?
Well, that's what I'm trying to figure out. According to this, the easement is relegated in 4 parts. So yellow and orange are clearly in the Ardent property. Green is clearly in the Ayer property, and blue would seem to be in the Ardent property.
Well, off to the left of the blue is map 17, parcel 10, with a Commonwealth of Mass tag on it. And maybe that's a strange shape that might account for the blue for another property holder.
You could be absolutely correct there. That
There's
might
just
be,
a lot of lines in there.
But it's funny, he didn't highlight that one.
No, he didn't.
So I'm having
It's
I
just
guess
the-
I'm having a difficult time understanding, because clearly if you, and why would the orange and the yellow be different if they're both in the Ardent property?
Well, that's what I'm actually wondering as well, because the yellow and the orange have a solid black line separating them. I'm wondering if that's a property line. And so they've got the required width for the project, but then, it's somehow split half and half.
Yeah, but then you wouldn't need an easement in the yellow.
I got nothing. I
You
mean,
need an easement in the orange.
there's a lot of fishing going on right now as we look at this.
Oh, it's just cookie.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, moving on.
The long and the short of it is that none of this easement area, well, actually, because of that pond, it is jurisdictional. At least some of it. Okay. Let me go through this entire memo. Just take me a second and try and figure out politely why this means anything goes. Sandbell Concrete Corporation conveyed by deed recorded at the Registry of Deeds property of the town of Ayer, upon which JAR Realty Corp is seeking to obtain a drainage easement in connection with the expansion of its building. Okay, so the Ayer property used to be owned by Sandbell. Okay. Oh boy. This property was conveyed to the town for conservation use pursuant to General Law, Chapter 40, Section 8C.
Which area is conveyed to the town?
Book 14840, page 146 is the only note on here, and that is from the Registry of Deeds, book 14840. The numbers on the plan that we're looking at refer to book and page in the town of Ayer, map 17, parcel 13. Hold on a second. Conveyed to the town for conservation use, authorizes the conservation, this statute also authorizes the Conservation Commission to accept property. So although the grantee is not listed as the Conservation Commission, I am assuming that the land is held by the Conservation Commission for conservation purposes.
I think that's a fair reading. And it would explain why they've asked you to, give your blessing.
Did you say that you assumed, or does the town council? Oh, that's assumed.
This from Catherine Klein. very interesting. First of all, it means that there's a piece of property that was conveyed to the town of Ayer for conservation use that for some reason we don't control and knew nothing about. Let's call that interesting point number one.
Yeah.
Ordinarily, any disposition of an interest in property held for conservation purposes subject to Article 97, legislative approval, 2/3 vote of both branches. Legislature would be required in order to grant the drainage easement. In the deed cited, however, Sandville reserved to itself its successors and assigns an easement to permit the drainage and flowage of water into and upon the granted property from other land of the grantor. Title research reveals that Jar Realty is a successor in interest to Sandville.
Sandville, S-A-N-V-E-L.
S-A-N-V-E-L. So that's interesting part number two. So the first thing that caught my eye, property that is conveyed into conservation. The reason that a person or a company would convey a piece of property into conservation is that A, they get a tax break, which they're thrilled about, and B, it means that it is now maintained or taken care of by someone else. But you can't just do it and go, oh, that was 2 years ago, I want to pull it out of conservation. It's actually required that the legislature has a 2/3 vote of approval, both branches, in order to pull it back out of conservation. Any piece of it back out of conservation. So Ms. Klein notes, ordinarily, any disposition of an interest in property held for conservation purposes is subject to Article 97 and legislative approval, 2/3 vote, both branches, to remove or grant the drainage easement. So in other words, in order to make that property available for any use other than conservation, the legislature itself has to make the vote. But she says that in the deed of the property passed on or conveyed to the town, that Sandville reserved to itself, its successors, and assigns an easement to permit drainage and flowage of water into and upon the granted property from other land of the grantor. So therefore, JAR Realty Corp. is a successor in interest to Sandville. It has rights to drain on the town land. So therefore, in Ms. Klein's opinion, Article 97 legislation is not required. Title research has revealed that JAR Realty Corp. is a successor. Oh, because JAR Realty Corp. owns the Catania Spania land.
Yeah.
Okay, well, because it says they have rights to drain. So it's to itself, successors and assigns an easement to permit drainage and flowage of water into or upon granted property from other land of the grantor. So in other words, if JAR Realty didn't own that property, they couldn't just grant this. This is only because it's JAR Realty granting access across. Okay. Please let me know if you would like further information, and then she takes her name, Catherine Lord Klein, and changes it to Katie, which I'm not sure I'm comfortable with. All right, so
aside from what they're trying to do with the roof water, which is all granted good, I think it'd be interesting to get confirmation on just what they feel they're allowed to use that easement for draining.
well, interestingly enough, I was having the exact same thought, because that's not what it says. It says proposed drainage and utility easement. So let's go back. To itself, its successors, and assigns an easement to permit the drainage and flowage of water.
Of mere water. But
Of
water
water.
can carry quite a bit before it's considered something else.
Well, here's where it gets interesting. A flowage of water, so drainage of water is drainage. Flowage of water could be water pipe. What I'm uncomfortable with is this says proposed drainage and utility easement, and that's not what Ms. Klein indicates they can use the easement for. So why does it say utility easement if this doesn't say you can do that?
Yeah.
So I guess what I'd want to see, and I don't want to be pecun about this.
No, but you don't want to be taken advantage of down the road either.
Well, what I really don't want to do is find out that somebody missed this later. And unfortunately, we read about it in a meeting on September 10th. and didn't ask. Because we found out about it on September 10th. Okay, easement confirmation agreement. Oh, that's why it's a confirmation agreement, because the easement is already potential through the assigns to Sandville, through their successor, JAR Realty. It's already okay. This is confirming that it was okay because it goes through the town. Okay. Fine when the town of Ayer acting by through its Board of Selectmen and its Conservation Commission. So this was already written up with us in mind. Why didn't this come to us before?
Good question. We just got we saw the original email from Robert to both of us. It was just,
I think it probably lies in the reason why you didn't know about the land either.
Okay. Well, let's not. What was that movie that Mel Gibson was in?
Was it any good?
Braveheart?
No, no. Payback, my favorite one? No. What was the one he was in where he saw conspiracy theory all around him and he...
Conspiracy theory, wasn't it?
I think it was.
Yeah, actually.
Didn't that happen in A Beautiful Mind too?
Yeah.
I don't like that guy.
Oh.
He's a flag, red flag for me. Whereas Jar is the fee owner of a certain tract of land in the town of Ayer, Court of Middlesex, pursuant to that certain deed, Sandville Concrete to the town in 1982, recorded with Middlesex South Registry of Deeds, reserved to itself, its successors, and assigned an easement to permit the drainage and flow of water into and upon the granted premises from other land of Sandville. Whereas the Jar parcel, JAR parcel, was formerly owned by Sandville, and as a successor to Sandville, Jar is entitled to the benefit of the easement, intends to construct a building and related improvements on a portion of the JAR parcel for the use and operation of a proposed rail car enclosure, which Jar improvements include a roof drainage system extending into the town parcel, necessitating exercise by JAR of the drainage easement.
They're building a building on this easement?
Well, that's the funny thing. It says construct a building and related improvements, but then it says for the use and operation of a proposed rail car enclosure. Whereas the parties are desirous of confirming that pursuant to the drainage easement, Jar has the right to use for the drainage and flow of water unto and upon the town parcel within the area depicted as drainage easement area on the plan attached hereto as Exhibit A. This isn't even labeled Exhibit A. Oh. Exhibit A. Okay. Now we're getting somewhere right up until the blue spot. That is what we're talking about. That.
The blue spot.
Nope.
No.
That or the green spot.
The green spot.
The green spot is right here.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, we are not talking about the orange and the yellow.
Okay.
The orange and the yellow travel across Cargill AM Holdings, which is known as Ardent.
Oh.
Okay? So if I match up, the orange is in Cargill, the yellow is in JAR Realty, and the reason that they need to list the easement on here is because it is for the flowage of water that travels from that area into the other area, and therefore they're showing it as part of their easement, although quite frankly, I don't think they need to, but I'm not an attorney. The blue spot actually seems to cross into the area between the rails, but the orange is in the rail too. And that's just kooky.
Quote unquote.
But it
Well-
sounds like the only thing that is concerning you is the green patch and whether or not you're agreeing to allow the flowage onto the green.
Well, interestingly, we're basically being asked my not very humble opinion, we're basically being asked to sign off on something that we knew nothing about for the purposes of allowing drainage to happen. I don't have a big problem with it as far as what the work is, what it actually entails. I don't have an issue with any of it. I just don't understand why it comes to us last minute. Okay, so to stay on point, as we always try to do in these meetings. Nothing. All right. Now, therefore, in consideration of the mutual covenants in this agreement for other good and valuable consideration, parties agree. Confirmation of easement. Town hereby confirms that JAR has the right and easement over the town parcel to permit drainage and flow to watering to and onto the town parcel. Confirmation of location. Confirm that it is as on attached Exhibit A, more fully described in the legal description set forth in Exhibit B. And Exhibit B would certainly be something along the lines of what we were just talking about. Travel 75 feet on this angle, 65 feet on that angle, etc. Yeah. Beginning to point the property line between Cargill AIM Holdings LLC and the town of Ayer, point being north 64 degrees 93 minutes 5 seconds east 118.76 feet from the southern intersection of said properties. Travel north, travel south, travel south. All right. The drainage easement shall include but not be limited to the right in, upon, under, over, through, and across the drainage easement area for purposes of construction, installation, maintenance, repair, replacement, and operation of all drainage pipes, culverts, level spreaders, cutoff walls, and other drainage structures appurtenant thereto intended for drainage and stormwater management, and including the right to enter onto the town parcel for all purposes necessary, incident and related thereto, so long as the exercise of these rights of access and egress do not unreasonably interfere with the town's use of the town parcel. Indemnification, JR holds the town indemnified, harmless, perpetual in nature, run with the land of the JR parcel, town parcel, benefit be binding upon each. Any transfer of the JR parcel or town parcel, therefore, shall automatically be deemed to have assumed all obligations set forth herein. The agreement shall continue in perpetuity, or voided. Shall be effective only until the date, which is 21 years after the death of the last surviving decedent, currently living, of the former presidents of the United States alive and on the date of this agreement.
Wait, what?
I am not making that up. Hold on.
Yeah, please speak
Ready?
into the microphone. Please, no, yeah.
Number 6, duration. This agreement shall continue in perpetuity, provided, however, that if any term or provision hereof would otherwise be unlawful and void or voidable for violation of the rule against perpetuities, or any other common law or statutory rule pertaining to the duration of such easements and rights, that such term or provision shall be effective only until the date, which is 21 years after the death of the last surviving descendant currently living of the former presidents of the United States alive on the date of this agreement.
I have no idea.
I've never heard that, anything like that.
That's like an Excel spreadsheet, with the
You're shitting.
parentheses, with more parentheses. That's
shitting.
like a
You're
quintuple negative plus a double positive with a triple
I think everything
negative.
cancels everything out.
Yeah, I have no idea what that really like.
You're photographing it?
I sure am.
Wow.
Talk about bureaucratic.
That's not even bureaucratic. That's what Byzantine was.
Yeah.
Well, but
That's
if
that
you think
word,
about
yeah.
it, so hold on, so let's follow it backwards.
You want to do the math?
Well, I don't need to because it is effectively the death of the United States. What this says,
So 20 years after the death of
21.
the United States.
wait.
What years?
Such term or provision shall be effective only until the date, which is 21 years after the death of the last surviving decedent currently living of the former presidents of the United States.
But
Huh?
so what? The currently living former presidents.
Currently living former presidents. So
Could be
the last
the Bush
former
daughters?
president. Yeah, but so would it be? It would be
You
George
couldn't count Obama.
Bush's, right? Because he's
He's
an
a
actual
current
president. So the last former president is Bush. His daughter, but hold on, last surviving decedent, currently Wait.
Be a surviving deceased.
I was just thinking about that. The last surviving deceased. Oh, because it's 21 years after the death of the last surviving deceased.
So you were a
So
descendant
the last
deceased.
surviving person who becomes deceased, who is.
That's when the clock starts for the 21 years.
Wait, so hold on. Well, this is like a
Just trying to
puzzle.
think.
This is fun. Why did you miss the beginning of the Patriots
Who's the
game?
youngest?
All right, so hold on. In such term or provision. Okay, so hold on. But this actually starts here.
Are we allowed to take
Sorry,
pictures of this and post
who'd
them
be the
to
youngest kid?
like?
This agreement shall continue in perpetuity, provided, however, that if any
It's
term or
public
provision
record. It's public.
Yeah.
I can post this publicly
would
elsewhere as well.
otherwise be unlawful
amazing.
and void or voidable for violation of the rule against perpetuities shall continue, however, if any term or provision hereof would otherwise be unlawful and void or voidable for violation of the rule against perpetuities, or any other common law or statutory rule pertaining to the duration of such use and his rights, then, okay, so this continues in perpetuity unless something goes just crazy, out of control, and it becomes void or voidable for violation of a rule against perpetuities or any other common law statutory rule pertaining to the duration of such use and rights. So a rule would have to be created, a law would have to be passed that ends all perpetuity as it relates to easements. At that point, then, only until the date, which is 21 years after the death of the last surviving deceased and currently living in the former president of the United States, allowed in the date of this agreement. So, the youngest.
It would have been simpler to say 21 years after Godzilla destroys Tokyo.
Right.
That would have been simpler.
So the youngest person living from a former president of the United States. But wait a minute.
You're enjoying this
Last-
quite a bit.
Last surviving, that could be, so if a baby was born,
Can the Bush babies have
Oh no,
kids?
the Bush.
but even if a grandchild of George W. Bush, of the first Bush, let's say he has a grandchild from a child, Jeb Bush, of course we all know these names because they're in the news today, but let's say that Jeb Bush had a son who had a daughter, who had a baby, right? That baby would be the youngest currently living, right? So this really comes down to if one of the Bush daughters lives to be 107, right? 21 years after that day, if the law was passed, that's when it would happen.
And the funniest part about all this isn't for like, a property swap or like a big chunk of something. This is for a pipe to take your roof water away. I just think it makes it funnier.
I've never heard of any conditions like this, and they talk about the last living relative. Sorry, I sent this to somebody who loves this kind of crap.
Do you guys listen to NPR? Will Short's the puzzle master with his weekend?
Yes.
This
Yeah,
should go
yeah,
into him
yeah.
as a question for the.
Yeah.
This is actually, I'm sending this to an attorney
He
friend.
became
I
part
think
of
it should be a question on yes.
It's my head. Is
No.
yeah, that would be
That's
good.
just me.
Yeah.
That's unfair.
Wait a minute, hold on. Whoever said school wasn't supposed to be mean. All right, so applicable law and severability, cancellation, modification, counterparts to that entire agreement, reserve rights. Okay. So really what we're saying is the whole reason we're digging into this so deeply is we never heard of this before. No one told us we were going to be asked about this. Effectively, we are being asked
And
to
they're in
confirm
quite a
something.
rush.
We're being asked to confirm something we know nothing about.
And has to be done in 60 days.
I bet.
Notice, we don't know when that started though.
Probably August 2015, right? That's the date on the plan.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I would bet it is whatever the date is on the front of this day of September 2015. So until there's a date marked in there and this is signed, that's probably it. But I just find it very interesting that this is what comes to us now. That's so expletive deleted, weird, and expletive deleted arbitrary. I will type back, I agree after the meeting. All right, so. Okay.
So what are they asking for? They're asking for.
They're asking for, basically what's happening is, so it took a minute to get to the bottom, right? So what they're saying is, oh, that's conservation land that you didn't know about and isn't something you have in your control, but it would be golly gee swell if you signed up on this because it is, after all, conservation land. That's not said here, but that's what's
Right.
happening. That's the only thing that makes any sense. Otherwise, we're not part and parcel to this in any way, shape, or form. It has nothing to do with us.
Yeah, I mean.
So
and
let's just say you
hopefully
say no and you don't give this marriage your blessing. Will they go forward with it anyway? And you get to stand and say, look, if you guys dump something bad in here, we can in principle
Well,
say
oh
we
no,
didn't
that would
agree.
be anyway. That's different. That's a different discussion. What this is saying is, town council is saying that it doesn't have to go to the legislature, even though it's conservation land.
Right,
Okay?
because it's grandfathered in.
No.
Well, because the
Because
easement was there, it
because of
already
Sandville's conditions.
conditioned it.
Yep.
Yeah.
But it would be great if you guys signed off on it. And the real reason they said that is because what happened here is Katie states property was conveyed to the town for conservation use. The statute authorizes Conservation Commission to accept property. So although the grantee is not listed as a Conservation Commission, I am assuming that the land is held by the Conservation Commission for conservation purposes. When she wrote that, that's why I did it. So, I am comfortable signing off on this.
Should we ask them though why it isn't, conservation land isn't,
Let's call that step 2.
step 2? Okay.
Okay.
And signing off on that wouldn't get in the way of step 2 of investigating further. Because
Oh, no. The reality is that if the property, so a conservation restriction or conservation conditions can be placed on a property, it doesn't have to be granted to the Conservation Commission, it can be granted to anybody. Just that person has to then, it's typically done to a Conservation Commission because for conservation purposes. So, it will be interesting to research, get more information about the parcel, find out, even if it wasn't granted to the Conservation Commission, is it something that is of a benefit to us? I mean, all this says is that it is map 17, parcel 13, now informally town of Ayer. I don't know, it could be 200 acres, it could be 3, I don't know. So there may be some good and useful way to develop the property for bird watching, etc. I mean, it's a wetland back there. I guarantee in that area there are ducks and other wildlife and its habitat, and people might want to walk around it and get some enjoyment out of it. Or maybe it's a quarter of an acre and it's jammed in between a bunch of railroad tracks and you couldn't get there if you wanted to.
Right.
I don't know. But that to me is the first question. Is there a way to use this so that it benefits the occupants of the town of Ayer?
The place my mind is going, because I don't know the parcel, I don't know the people involved, you know, who's trustworthy or not, etc. I'm totally outside it.
Your skepticism is rewarded. Continue.
I'm hearing that a rail company wants to build a roof, put their water in the pond.
It's actually they mix and package cooking oils.
Okay.
They want to do it over their rail siding.
Well, right, but you said there's a building
Yeah.
buried in there. One of
So
those.
what they want to do is they already have 2 tracks here that they pump oil out of rail cars. They want to add tracks to it, and then they want to cover the whole thing.
Okay,
So they want to contain their operation.
fair enough.
Oh, just so you know, it's not the railroad. If it was,
No, it's
if it was, I would have just said no. That's a whole other discussion.
But anyway, so they've got now
Is that out loud?
an
Yeah.
exit point for flowing things, and it's the flowage issue. And if you
Drainage.
and flowage,
Drainage and flowing water. However, interestingly, in this
And then-
particular case, the easement only takes them to the edge of the wetland.
right? And then they also have the and you let us in to do whatever maintenance we want to do and build or to do.
Sure, to protect that drainage. So
So at no point.
There's only one thing though, they can't do anything in that area without our permission, which is why they came to us with a notice of intent, because it's all within the buffer zone, it's all protected area. So, does it make me concerned that it says drainage and utility easement? It does. Does it make me concerned that it doesn't say drainage and utility easement in the area where we're gonna be? There's
Yeah, because they
There's
came,
virtually nothing they can do there that isn't a.
they came to us for a notice of intent back in January, that's what.
Right.
Yeah, so they
Okay.
already.
So the
Anything they do in that area would be subject to review. So I don't for 1 minute think that that what they're trying to do is pump nuclear waste into the pond.
But accidentally, if somebody says, "Oh, we've been doing this for years," yeah, let's go line another pipe out, and it'll take the water from over here and stuff from over there. And
Well, that is an interesting thing. However, they can't do drainage into that area without, again, coming to us because they can't. So
fair enough.
there would be a design process that would go forward before they'd be allowed to do it. In fact, we went to great lengths to talk about in this area, over and over again, during the discussions on site, everything that's going to end up down in the resource area is coming off the roof. The roof? The roof. It's coming off the roof? Yeah, it's coming off the roof. So I have no question that any drainage that happens here will be coming off the roof per this permitted plan. If they were to install another pipe, for instance, over the yellow and orange area, that did not come off the roof, it would not be part of the permitted plan. It would not be an allowed
And you have
use.
full faith that we'd be back here to have a chat about it.
I have complete faith you'd be back here to talk about it.
Fair enough.
So we should keep a copy of this signed agreement.
Well, there's a whole bunch of stuff we're gonna ask to be copied on. The only thing that's disappointing is that,
We still haven't figured out
There's
what
four-
year that.
well, no, there's 4 lines on here, and it says it's with signature lines for Takashi and George. So,
Not me?
That means we're
no,
gonna do this
you,
again.
me, Takashi, and George. So,
Okay, you would have to handwrite in Bonnie.
well, I guess what I'm concerned about is this says on this day, 10th September 2015, the above appeared before me. What I'm uncomfortable with is that we would only be signing for 2 members of the commission, and so I'm not sure that that meets
Yeah,
their needs, Robert's needs.
right. Because they didn't put Bonnie's.
A,
name on
they didn't
there.
put Bonnie on, and B, those 2 folks aren't here. So, here's what I'm willing to do. I'm willing to sign this, and if you're willing, I'm happy if you want to sign it.
Mhm.
We'll pass it to Robert, ask Robert if this meets his needs. It may not meet his needs. I don't want to handwrite in, no offense, I don't want to scratch a line and handwrite in Bonnie's name on this, because I'm not sure that that's appropriate for the purposes of what we're doing. What I would ask is that Robert confirm that 2 signatures is enough, and if it isn't, then he's going to need to wait until our next meeting on the 24th, when everyone's available. And then, once that's done, I would really like to have all of this, so it looks like this email is already in my mailbox from Ms. Klein.
Yeah.
And so at that point, the next thing that I'm going to do is take that and I'll bounce it back and I'll copy everybody and I'll say, so, is there any other conservation land in the town of Ayer that I'm not familiar with? Whether it was deeded to us or not? Is something that we can put together? What if the Sandbelt parcel has other contiguous parcels that are in conservation, we just never knew about it? Wouldn't that be the cat's meow? Maybe there's a way to, create some walking paths for people in those areas, or some other, even most of those areas back there, they stay wet all year. There's no reason not to allow kayaking. So, there's a lot of interesting thoughts. And then I'll start with, you didn't tell us. So, but that isn't necessarily where they need to end. So, you know what? This is this one. And this is the one that appears to have come with the email for us to sign. So I'm going to put this, with this, with this, this. I would entertain a motion to sign this memorandum of understanding regarding the drainage easement, which is as stated, an easement confirmation agreement, confirming that the easement is valid based on the fact that the land that it is passing over is from and through and to the assigns of Sandwell.
So moved.
Would you like to second that?
I'm a little confused.
Sure.
So to have Takshi and George sign off, you have to review this again on the 24th?
Yeah, but
we all have to-
by then I will have chased it all out and figured out who that last decedent is going to be plus 21 years, or who has the best option, right? Could be Barbara Bush. I give her like 10 to 1.
So here's a question. If we're saying because they didn't include Bonnie's name there, that
What I'm suggesting is that we sign this page.
Yeah.
We indicate back to Robert that Bonnie's name wasn't included on here and should have been. And that if 2 signatures is enough for him, then great. If it isn't, then he needs to wait until the 24th, and we will rediscuss this and sign off at that point. But I am willing to agree and move forward so that this assists them, because I don't think there's any loss to us for doing so.
So by signing off, that basically we say the easements,
What's happening?
what's presented here is fine.
We're
And you
confirming, right.
We're confirming that this is okay. And then-
Right, the Board of Selectmen has confirmed that they're okay. So I guess what's really happening is the Board of Selectmen has signed off and said that this is a valid use of the property, that an easement can be granted under the terms that Sandveld wrote in their own dedication of the land. When they gave the land to the town, when they conveyed this property, they said, oh, but if we need to, we can do a drainage easement, either us or our signs. And town council has said, JAR Realty, they're gonna sign. They bought it from them. And they said, so therefore they have the right to enact this easement over the property. And again, it's just the green,
Right.
just
right,
the green.
because it's within air.
because it's
That's
in
air.
the town of Ayer as part of the land that Sandveld gave to the town. So effectively, 187 feet, I think that's what it said, right?
I am deeply, deeply impressed by the work that went into this.
So Exhibit A, this is nothing, you should see when we try and do some other stuff.
No, I mean the work that went into that, like getting the color coding done and the land history rules and regs that somebody did.
Well, this is how this goes. 118.76 feet. So 21, 72, 93, and 20. Wait a minute, hold on.
where'd you get that?
I'm looking at the legal description of Part B, Exhibit B, which is attached to Exhibit A.
Welcome
Actually,
to your first
that just defines its
conservation
location. It is actually, at its longest point, 80.95 feet long, and on its short point, 72.48 feet long. It is also 20 feet wide. So,
Is that large for a drainage?
no, 20 feet is, 20 feet makes sense because you have to be able to get the equipment in to do the work. It's
Yeah,
not
yeah.
just the ditch, it's the place to do the work. Strangely, ties back to what we were discussing before.
Yeah, it's like maybe a bobcat lane in and a bobcat lane out.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Or a bigger excavator, depending upon what you're gonna
Yeah.
do.
Got it.
Okay, so 72.48 minus
47, isn't it?
8.95. No, I'm looking at this. 72.48 and 80.95, okay, is 8.74 divided by 2 equals 4. Change sign plus 72.48
It says on the map.
is 76.715 times 20 equals, assuming that this is a 45-degree angle, and you can't, we are effectively, we just spent an hour talking about 1,500 square feet.
It's more than I thought it was.
That's not even a
Although on
house.
the map itself, it says 72.47.
72.48 on the exhibit that goes in the easement.
Okay. All right. There's a conflict of interest
It's over now. That's it.
Details.
Oh, man.
So, there's a
For all the-
motion
for
on
all
the
the
table,
pointers.
which has not been seconded.
Care to second?
Can you do
No,
that?
I can't.
He
I
can't.
Oh, you can't. That's right. You have to.
No, I'm just the errand boy.
All
Are
right.
you, are you concerned?
You know, I'm always concerned about things I don't understand.
Sure.
You know, I mean,
It's a fair statement.
it's if I understand it, I'm fine. But if I don't understand it, I feel.
Well, I certainly don't want to railroad you into it. If you're concerned about it, I would have no problem telling them that we couldn't come to an agreement to discuss it tonight.
So why does it have to? I mean, I'm just concerned. Why does the drainage ditch have to proceed in across that
Ah,
town line into Ayer?
I can tell you why. Because the property, that's an easy one. No, it really is, from walking the parcel.
Okay.
So, excuse me, this is uphill. It comes down. This is all parking area where their trucks come in and come out. They load through these loading docks.
Uh huh.
This is a pond. This is the drainage, this is the pumping station for the town's force main over here, off the picture. This is railroad track. They have nowhere for that roof water to go. However,
Where does it go currently?
it just runs down into the soil. But as they add this project, they have to follow the guidelines.
Right.
They have to find a way to get rid of it.
Right.
So one of those options was probably to put large structures on their property, which they then would have had to do a boring, found out where the water level was.
Yeah.
Because it's a wetland over here, it's probably relatively high. They wouldn't have had a way to get rid of all that water. So what they said was, all we want to do is get rid of roof water, rainwater, pure rainwater. So the best way is to duct it over here into this wetland,
Okay.
where it will have no effect whatsoever. It just would have fallen just that way. The only thing that rainwater could have an effect on is by its velocity, because it's a concentrated amount of rainwater being sluiced down into that area. So what we approved is a path where the drainage comes over here, runs through a pipe, and then comes out into a riprap area so that the water runs into the wetland without force. That's why they did it. They can't dump the water over here.
No.
They
Right.
can't dump the water into
Right.
the sewer. They can't dump it out into the drains, because there probably aren't any out in this road.
Right.
There's a drainage ditch that runs over here, and they knew darn well if they tried to put it in that drainage ditch, we were going to flip out and say, "Where's that drainage ditch go anyway?" Because it probably comes back down and loops around anyway.
Well, it's not even in air. Is that in air?
Oh yeah, this is all in air. This is Nemco Way. So, do you ever go the way back towards Shaw's?
Yeah.
Okay. So as you come along, there are several roads off the right.
Uh huh.
So first there's that
New England way.
New England Way, and then Nemco Way, and then the power lines.
Yeah.
Yep.
The electrical station?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So that electrical station is probably right here.
Oh, okay.
So this
okay.
property is well in air, and it is definitely, although I would bet you that this road doesn't have any drains on it. Or if it does, there's probably not many. I don't know where it would end up.
Yeah.
There's nowhere for it to go.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Okay.
So
No, that clarifies. Yeah.
at least some of it.
Yeah. Some of it. Yeah.
I'll put it this way. If they use this for the purposes that we described and discussed during our meetings on site, then I have absolutely no issue with it. What I don't like is that it says "and utility easement." What I do like is that the language in here says it can only be used for the flowage of water. So I'm not worried that they're going to put power lines in or something else, because they can't. At least not under the law.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of people do stuff
Mhm.
that's not right, but this is saying that if they're going to do it right, this is what they need.
Okay.
It's also extremely interesting that this comes so far into the project after the whole, hey, we'd like to do this, is that approved or not? And then go after easements, which I guess makes more sense, right? If you go for your easements first, then you run into a problem with your permitting, what do you do now?
I suppose by contrast, another way to think about it is that, let's say you guys say no to this, that in all likelihood means they won't build the roof or that structure, whatever. So then you have rainwater falling on active industrial land and picking up whatever
Yeah.
is in and on the land.
Well, the only thing about that, that's a very good point. But what you can't tell is that there is a large berm that runs on this side of the railroad tracks. So it comes off the building, the tracks are here, and then there's a huge berm, it's gotta be 4 or 5 feet tall,
Oh.
on this side of where all their equipment
That's
is.
relevant.
Oh.
So So there's no concern today, and even if one of those tank cars ruptured, it's food oil, right?
Yeah.
So,
I was thinking more of the grease on the wheels. Kind of
sure.
Yeah.
But the long and the short of it is that this is an area that's that is truly separated from the resource area. If anything, your biggest worry should be the fact that rail cars travel this way, and I don't want to misquote it. Back when the first rail yard project came up, that had a bee in everybody's bonnet. So you know when you cross over the railroad tracks when you come on Willow Road?
Mm-hmm.
So if you come in from Willow Road to here, you cross over the railroad tracks, and in between the railroad tracks is a road off to the right.
I know, yeah.
That road takes you down to an area where the EPA and the Federal Bureau of Railroads and Prisons, or whatever they are, they got permission to build a massive parking area for Ford to unload vehicles. And they did it through the federal government,
It's on the aquifer, isn't it?
Yeah.
right on our aquifer.
Yeah.
And they did it because the federal government said they're the railroads, they have the right to do whatever they want as long as the EPA approves it. And the EPA said, looked up, took their heads out of the sand and said, oh, is that the railroad? Put their heads back in. So that had to have been 10 years ago.
Or more.
Yeah, it was a long time ago.
Yeah.
Wow.
Anyway, that project is down in there, and this is exactly the kind of thing where you say to yourself, what is my biggest concern? My biggest concern would actually be the railroad engine and the 7,000 or whatever gallons of fuel that are in it. There's your problem. That came up at the time. So while we were talking about that, I remember there was a meeting right here in Town Hall, and folks were like, we think this is a bad idea. So you could poison our aquifer, and we'd have no water in town. What
Right.
would you do then? So, interestingly, for those who grew up in the area, the town of Acton years and years ago had a spill. And I don't even remember what the spill was. And at the time, so my family lived in Framingham and out in Central Mass, and we would go to visit my grandparents. And we would drive through Acton, and in the Kmart parking lot were water buffaloes where the residents of Acton showed up to get their water from the National Guard because they couldn't drink the water in town. For
How
a
long did
period
that
of time.
happen?
It was for months. So we said, boy, wouldn't that be crappy if that happened to our aquifer? And they said, yeah, it's okay though. The EPA signed off on it. And we said, well, can we at least see the application? And they said, no. We said, well, can we see the plans? And they said, no. We said, can we go on the property and see the work you're doing? And they said, absolutely not. Well, thanks. Anyway,
Federal.
that's your federal government at work for you, protecting you and what matters to your family.
But didn't
I don't
something...
sense any bitterness at all.
But wasn't something resolved eventually? Something... I don't know. They did something that...
Oh, that's adorable. No.
No, I heard...
No.
No?
Nothing.
Nothing.
Not only was nothing
Nothing.
resolved, not only was nothing resolved, the way that it ended,
It went to the court, didn't it? And it got,
it was upheld.
yeah.
It was upheld.
The town lost money.
Right.
Yeah.
The railroads have the right to do
Yeah.
what they would like to do because laws were passed back in the 1800s to sponsor the use of public land so that the railroad companies would build transportation across these great United States,
It's the same stuff that led to the boom towns in Nebraska.
So,
and they were never changed.
could the town of Ayer, like if something did happen to the aquifer, if it was, contaminated, could we sue the railroad?
Well, I bet you could.
Yeah, but they've got a pretty strong legal shield to hide behind.
What do you think would happen?
We'd lose.
Well, no. I think we would be.
You-
So think about BP doing their cleanup,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And
You'd
I'm
lose
not
the legal.
comparing the railroads and BP, but think about BP doing their cleanup, right? So BP was sued by the federal government to clean up a mess that a protected industry, for lack of a better expression,
Yeah.
created in the process of trying to get oil out of the ground to do something that the United States wants to have happen. The United States wants oil to be collected from the United States, and so those industries have protections and tax breaks and everything else. And who's the first one to go after BP when it happened? The federal government. Teeth, claws, the whole business. I think you'd find that the federal government would say the exact same thing, which is, if you're doing normal business here, then we are protecting you, we are allowing you to do that, the laws are set up to allow you to do that because transportation in this way is good for the United States and we're okay with it. And then if there was a spill, they'd be all over their business. So I think that's what would happen. First, the state would come after them, the Mass DEP, and then the EPA would come after them, and they would all say, guys, that wasn't what you were allowed to do. So I don't think the town would have to sue them. I think you would just be standing back waiting for the federal government to force them to do the cleanup.
Thirsty anyway.
It would be thirsty.
Yeah, and it wouldn't matter because you would have already moved out because you couldn't drink.
Yeah, I'd be curious to see if that happened again with social media as a tool. What would have happened?
Well, take a look at, so that's an interesting point, and its own 2.5 hour discussion. But look at what happened in Colorado with
With
that
the
abandoned
EPA.
mine.
Oh, jeez.
Okay.
That was EPA. Oops. Oops.
Okay.
EPA.
So then you can imagine the exchange of information that happened after that through both public, through social media, through public distribution. Everybody knew about it right away.
Yeah.
30 years ago, it would have been what newspaper they weren't able to pressure into not printing would have been the one that told you about it.
Mm-hmm.
And it would have been what was good for the country. What was
Yeah.
good, right? And I'm not picking, I'm just simply saying the dissemination of the information would have been severely limited simply because the people who controlled the information truly controlled the information.
Mm-hmm.
And nowadays, anybody with a ridiculous GoPro camera can put up a blog that tells you anything about anybody. Good for you. All right, so there is a motion on the table
Yes.
to sign off on this
Did we hear a second?
easement confirmation agreement.
I second that.
So the only thing that I would say as part of our discussion is that I have no problem with us signing it. However, Robert should be notified that Bonnie's name belongs on here and it isn't. That George and Takashi were not available to sign tonight, and if he would like them to sign, he will need to wait till our September 24th meeting, at which point we will take this up again, and I promise you spend another hour on it. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
That was a deeply intriguing
That was a lot of fun.
use of
huh?
time.
That was-
I'm telling you, if you
Good,
want to come in on the
history there.
first night, you are here.
That one I should take because they wanted this back tomorrow.
Oh, are you not here tomorrow?
Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday is the schedule.
Perfect.
So I will convey our sentiments.
Hey,
I
if
know
it
you
makes
will.
you feel any better, my first night at the Natick Concom, we were talking about poison in Lake Cochituate.
Cochituate.
Yeah.
What in Lake Cochituate?
Poison.
What kind of poison?
Herbicide. For invasive
Well,
plants.
so hold on. So let's not use the term poison. Let's
That's
use the
not
term
poison.
herbicide.
That's herbicide.
It's the same
But
thing.
it was poison from the signs of the pitchfork-carrying neighbors. But let's discuss that one after, because I have a whole story about
Don't
that.
we want to use herbicides?
Well, right, but it was very dramatic and lots going on there. So,
There are
I'm with
always
you.
strong feelings when it comes to herbicides. Okay.
it was a deep.
Do they understand? Did you educate them? What? What's the?
Hold on.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Finish the business at hand.
Violation notice for 6 Wright Road. Did we ever hear from them?
No,
Nope.
and
Nope.
we never got the green card either.
Still just waiting on.
Never got the green card.
The
Yeah,
certified
no.
mail.
It's just,
Yeah. no.
But we know that Jess sent it.
yeah.
That's it.
Okay. Will you
Usually-
please print out another copy of it? Actually, on Monday, print out another copy of it, have it in the office. I will find a way to get it from you, and I will hand deliver it. Okay. CA updates. I think you'll find, Brian, this is your favorite part of the night. Do you have any updates from the past week, things that have come up?
A little bit. Well, I'm typing, keeping track. of
Sure.
this.
Are you all moved into the office?
Oh, good lord, no. All right, so Pingree Hill. Jess has a vibrant and brilliant soliloquy to give about erosion on Pingree Hill,
Right.
which we can get to in a second, if you want.
Want to do that during your update?
Sure.
All right. We did the legal update from Mr. Roper.
Yep.
That's in your envelope there that went out to email to everybody. And that was intriguing. And it appears at this point, basically, that the judge is going to give them just a little bit more time and then dismiss them because they didn't show up at their last court date.
Oh.
And so he.
Well, hold on a second. Hold on. Mr. Anuda, do you want to discuss this? I'm offering.
Pardon me?
Do you want to discuss this? This
Yeah,
is the September 8th judgment?
We received a copy of the,
Oh, I'm sorry, excuse me, I said judgment, that's not correct.
Right.
It's the supplemental briefing order and order directing applicant and petitioners to comply with the June 12th, 2015 briefing order.
and it was a bit of a surprise because we'd never received the June briefing order.
Oh,
We did receive the reply from DEP,
okay.
but so, we're going to be responding to that briefing order, or the request for a memoranda of law, I believe it is.
What's the date on that? Or what's the deadline? I think it's...
Date is September 8th.
And I believe the deadline for response from us is October.
Yeah, late October, I think I remember seeing.
It says...
When I skimmed that, the only thing I saw was that, like, the last half paragraph on the last page was finally the action paragraph.
It reiterates and then asks questions, and he wants responses to the questions. And we're formulating our responses. The DEP has already replied. And I guess I should have surmised from that reply that there were some questions, but we did not have
legal language.
those questions until we received this.
Okay, so the June 12th, 2015 briefing order and order staying appeal resolution deadlines. On June 12, 2015, I issued an order staying the deadlines under 310 CMR 10.057J for the appeals resolution because the appeal raises the following legal issues that should be addressed by the parties prior to the scheduling of any pre-screening conference and evidentiary adjudicatory hearing pursuant to 310 CMR. Whether the petitioners had legal authority to appeal the order of conditions, whether the petitioners had actual notice of and were subject to the order of conditions, whether the ACC had legal authority to direct the applicant to record the order of conditions, whether the ACC was legally required in August 2014 to conduct a hearing with adequate prior notice. This is a lot of fun. Whether the ACC's issuance to the applicant on August 28, 2014 of a new signature page should be recorded. That's not a question. Whether the ACC's issuance to the applicant on August 28, 2014 of a new signature page for the order conditions so that it can be recorded with the registry change the order's issuance date. Oh, sorry, that's not. Okay.
I believe
Set forth with, so here I see what you mean. Set forth the following schedule. Department's memorandum of law addressing the legal issues Friday, July 3rd. Applicant's memorandum of law addressing the legal issues Friday, July 24th. And petitioner's memorandum of law addressing the legal issues August 14th.
Right.
To date, only the department filed legal memorandum. Neither applicant nor petitioners filed their legal memorandum. So you're the petitioner or the applicant? You're the petitioner.
And,
Okay.
And so he's rescheduled and given you and us the opportunity to answer this question that he's asking in the document.
Is it,
So he's added us to this. So we weren't on the first one. That's interesting.
It's interesting that you it sounds like you guys and
Yeah.
us are in the same boat in that we did not receive the original.
Well, he doesn't even
state.
say on here that we were part of it. He says on June 12th he was looking for the departments, the applicants, and the petitioner's memorandum of law. And now that he's added it, he says, to date, only the department, neither the applicant or petitioner filed. Neither the applicant nor the petitioners have filed their legal memoranda, notwithstanding that my June 12, 2015 order informed them that any party who failed to file any required materials might be subject to sanctions. Accordingly, to foster the applicant and the petitioner's compliance with their respective obligations to file a legal memorandum and to accord the Air Conservation Commission with the opportunity to address the legal issues as well, I'm issuing the following supplemental briefing order where the applicant must answer by the 22nd. The petitioners must answer by October 6th. We must answer by, or have the ability to, I guess is probably the best way, have the ability to answer by October 20th. And the department addressing everyone else's memoranda would have their application, would have their statements in by November 3rd. So as the applicant, petitioner, and the Air Conservation Commission respond, the department has until the 3rd to answer. If the applicant fails to file his legal memorandum by September 22nd, I will issue an order pursuant to 310 CMR precluding the applicant from supporting or opposing designated claims or defenses or introducing designated matters into evidence. If the petitioners fail to file their legal memorandum by October 6th, the ACC and the department will be excused from their respective briefing obligations under the supplemental brief order, and I will issue a recommended final decision.
The applicant is Roper.
Right. Recommending that the department's commissioner issue a final decision dismissing the appeal due to the petitioner's failure to prosecute the appeal and comply with the orders of the presiding officer. I don't know what that means. If the petitioners fail to file their legal memorandum, the ACC and department will be excused from respective briefing obligations under the supplemental brief order, and I will issue a recommended final decision pursuant to 310 CMR 101-10E, 310 CMR 101-11A, 2F, and 310 CMR 101-5A-15. I'm not writing these down. Recommending that the department's commissioner issue a final decision dismissing the appeal due to the petitioner's failure. All right.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with the idea. Interesting. Okay.
I remember when we looked at something at one point and it looked like there wasn't anything. It was between the developer.
It may have been a response from the DEP.
Yeah.
Well, that's what's so odd. I don't. I'm not disappointed to be able to have a voice in it. I just didn't make a whole lot of sense. Okay. Well, is this a copy I keep?
It's a bit clearer.
Yeah, everybody's got one in their email as well.
Sorry, say again.
It's a bit clearer now. I think we appreciate the presiding officer's prompt.
Sure.
Because we totally missed the original.
Is this something that the town has to respond to too?
Well, that's the part I was just trying to figure out.
My suggestion would be, from your point of view, is perhaps to have the town council take a look at it.
Well, I detest that idea, but I do understand it's a possibility. I just don't like the idea of paying town council for anything.
I understand.
Well, so years ago, there were several actions that were taken against the town, and hundreds of thousands of dollars were spent with town council. And in some cases, it was because of utter and complete failure by other commissions and boards to follow the law and the rules. And I wasn't going to say it out loud, but because of that, tax money was spent for things that it didn't need to be spent for. And so
You told me this story, didn't you?
So I'm not a big fan of town council getting involved unless town council has to. However, I will certainly cede to town administrator who might say we have to, or this is a good idea. Or who more likely will send an email asking for them to give an opinion on whether they should give an opinion. Okay.
All right, so that's that.
That is.
And we've got a few more. We, Jess and I had our first customer on
Excellent.
Tuesday.
How about that?
Ed Woulette.
Woulette?
Lots of vowels.
Yeah.
At 43A Groton Harvard.
Okay.
And he was doing a gas line extension from the road to his house, and the meter is going on the front of the house. And Jess and I went out there with the tape, and he was clear of the resource area.
Wonderful.
National Grid had told him he should check with us.
Yeah, so he just
Well,
came in
that's
for a
fine.
visit, said hi. Worked out well. We actually had our phone in hand, going to call him and seeing about coming over, and he walked right in. If he had put the meter on like the back of the house or the side of the house, perhaps that would have been a different story.
Sure.
But it wasn't. So tied up.
Do we do a letter or anything for him?
We told him he should check with National Grid to see if they needed something in writing from us. We
Okay.
haven't heard, but
If they do,
There were no
we'll-
voicemails or no emails.
yeah.
No. Well, if we'll work on that together. If we need to write a letter for him, we'll talk to Takashi if he has any form letters that he's
Yeah.
using in Groton. But just to protect Mr. Ouellette in case later on somebody comes back, it would be disappointing if he went to go to his gas line and the National Grid guy goes, "So you get your letter?"
But
with
it's clearly
an
not,
A and an H
Yeah.
at the end.
clearly not jurisdictional. I mean,
No, that's fine.
Yeah.
No, I'm not disagreeing.
Yeah.
I just don't want someone to say that all the boxes weren't checked and
Right.
so.
So that happened, and then everything else on here are leftovers from.
aggregate industries.
Yeah. I forgot about that one. So a mystery woman is complaining to people all over the place about aggregate industries.
In Littleton?
Yes,
Getting
And-
dust on her car.
like they're fouling the earth, and it's da da da, and she's calling people on
Is
both
fouling
sides.
the earth a quote?
Actually, I think it might be. Yeah.
Oh, it might have been raping the earth, I think. Sorry.
I've just spent the past. This is from Carly Antonellis.
Yes.
Um,
So wait a sec, hold on. So to be clear, Carly Antonellis supports the Board of Selectmen and is probably not the lady writing the letter.
No, but this is an email from her.
You'd be amazed how people misconstrue.
Oh.
So Carly Antonellis passed on this to us.
Yes.
Okay.
She spent the past hour on the phone with a woman who refused to identify herself.
Okay.
She was complaining.
Actually, hold on. I don't want to be rude, but that's it. No, that's where it ends. There are no anonymous letters to us, period.
Fair
so
enough.
thank you very much. You can throw that away. We don't do that. It's not how it works. You don't get to call up and complain and say things are a big problem and do it anonymously
It
because
More for humor. I mean, Carly
I
said,
appreciate that, but I'm all done.
how,
It's also for put your antenna up because there might be somebody who shows up. How should we say whack-a-mole type complaining
That
mystery
is-
women. So FYI.
That is a perfect thing. However, one of the places where we have ended up with those conversations in the past is it is either jurisdictional or is not. And we've also had a number of applications where people have come into us and they've had other problems with an application. We've said, well, that's great, but that's something that pertains to zoning board or that's something that pertains to planning board. And while I appreciate that you would like to be heard and you have opinions,
Your
they're
name
not
would help.
appropriate or relevant for our hearings. So
And telling us who you are too.
that's
That would help.
well, I'm telling you, I will. That is a line that I will draw every single time.
Yeah.
There is no anonymous tipster. If there's an anonymous tipster because someone spilled oil somewhere or something like that, then that's one thing. If there's an anonymous tipster because they have a problem with something that's going on and they're not willing to say I am and I live at and this is an issue I'm having, then it doesn't count.
this
So-
is
Fair
even
enough.
more so because it's in Littleton.
Yeah, which is completely non-jurisdictional for the Air Conservation Commission.
But Littleton,
Just informationally.
the alleged anonymous person kept saying Littleton kept sending her to us. It was weird. It's sort of strange.
Maybe Littleton's not listening anymore.
Carly was like, well, how can we get back to you if you won't tell us who you are?
Well, what's even more interesting is I can't imagine. So wait a second. Who are we trusting said that Littleton sent this person to us?
The person that we don't know who it is.
There you are. So I don't believe that.
Yeah.
And I would also say that I'm not going to set the precedent where we're going to take this seriously, just like I'm not going to set the precedent where we take in an RDA that's an NOI that's absolutely not an RDA. Because we have had other people who have applied to us and done the proper procedure for the right thing, and we're not changing that today.
Yeah, I don't think I'd be in favor of accepting that as an argument.
No, I can't imagine. That is a 100% notice of intent application.
Particularly for new building structures, don't they have to have now perimeter drainage?
Well, the only reason that I even bring that up is to say that it's in form of precedence. So we'll continue to discuss that application at the appropriate time, but as far as precedence goes, this is a precedence that we have set. We are not talking about anonymous anything. But what else you got?
Yeah, and then everything else I think is yours until we get to questions about the work and the job and all that. You've got your
Reminder of our site visit on September 19th.
Oh, with the town.
With the town. If you would like to take a tour of Peroni Park, September 19th, 9 a.m.
Okay, well, so hold on. So are we good with Brian?
until we get to the questions, the office
Okay.
update stuff is clear.
Sure. Okay, so I'm gonna check that off. I like to go down the list. Okay, any CPC updates?
No.
Excellent. I'm gonna guarantee there aren't any stormwater, pond and dam, greenway.
We
or
have not
open
heard
space.
from Geosyntec, by the way,
Really?
Mm-hmm.
on the comprehensive plan proposal, but in Brian's spare time, I have given him the draft material to look at,
Peruse.
memorize, and
Sure.
we can quiz him.
I would hope so.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Means you'd have to read it.
Not letting that kind of opportunity go past. Okay, do you have any open space and recreation plan discussion?
Nope.
Excellent. All right. So Jess, under member updates, what do you have?
Just I had sent a text about 117 Oak Ridge.
Jess, do you want this? The notes that were half years anyway.
No, sure.
Was 117 Oak Ridge the one that George wrote back when he visited?
Yeah, I mean,
I've been working on a porch for 4 weeks.
it looks like it had some big piles. It's a steep slope down to Flanagan in the back,
Sure.
but uncertain if it's 100 feet or not.
George sounded like he wasn't concerned about it in his
Yeah.
text.
Yeah. So they flat.
So just so everyone knows,
Yeah.
it would be illegal for us to hold a meeting off property as a group. However, if one of us does get information, we can pass that information outside of the meeting, simply because we're not holding the meeting or discussing something that's before the commission. So, for instance, if Bonnie was on her way home tonight and she saw someone was doing work in their yard on the side of Flanagan Pond and they had big piles of soil, it would be appropriate to reach out and say, hey, you guys know anything about this? I'm new, I don't know. You guys know anything about this? That's okay. And then we would discuss it again on the public record during our meeting. So as long as we handle those things in that way, it is perfectly appropriate and you don't have to wait till the next meeting to go, oh my goodness, I didn't know about that. Seems worth saying.
Mhm. Yeah. So it looks like it's now got
Hydroseed?
hydroseeded. Yeah.
Good.
So
It's the right time of year.
I would have been, because it's a flat surface, if we did by any chance get the torrential rains that we need.
Desperately.
My only concern would be that running down the slope into the pond.
Sure.
You mean like perhaps today?
Or tomorrow.
So it was a driveway that was put in?
Driveway in the whole
And
front,
a
in the whole
whole-
front yard.
Yeah, the whole front yard.
So,
Yeah.
Duncan Brown has already called in asking if we've gotten the notice of intent for the Willows relocation of the building, but we have not.
Right, I was going to say.
He will be coming in to do a file review when we do get it.
Sure.
Okay.
Excellent. Anything else for you?
No. Did you email Mark Wetzel about the canoe launch?
Ah,
thing?
poop.
Okay.
No, I didn't.
Okay. Just asking. And that's it.
About that. The worst part was I went in that night to do it too.
Yeah.
Bonnie, do you have any member updates other than welcome and happy first meeting?
Thank you. Quite an experience.
I promise most of the time we will not. So there was a resident who came in here many years ago. I don't know if you were here for it, and I forget her name now, which is awful. And she was talking about, she had to do a notice of intent for a project on her property. And she said, and I'll try and get the accent correctly, you need to be a Philadelphia lawyer to read all this. Just like that. It was the hardest thing in the world to not laugh. And I think I failed. So I promise there will not be nearly as much Philadelphia lawyering as we had this evening on future meetings.
Wow, that was interesting in
Yeah.
perpetuities.
Really?
heck was her
Some of the
name?
language, yeah.
At 21 years after the death of the last living
Philadelphia lawyer.
Philadelphia lawyer, who's probably what it would be, right? So, oh, that's hilarious. Though.
I did have one other thing I forgot to put down.
And back to it. There
I
we
know,
go.
there I am.
Always with the return.
Yeah. He loves me. So I did email Steve Mullaney the week before last to just remind him what was the deal with the properties we'd inspected at Pingree Hill.
So Steve Mullaney
Oh, yeah.
is a local, he's a engineer, works out of Leominster, represents a lot of the properties, people who do work in the local area.
Because we had inspected the certificate of compliance properties in Pingree Hill.
Sure.
And the removal of erosion controls was less than adequate in a few cases, and we had asked for photo follow-up. So we never did get photo follow-up, so I emailed Steve.
Reached out.
I reached out, and Lori sent 6 shots or some pictures of the ones that have been done, and it looks like they've all been done, but 2 of the lots still need to be photographed. We don't have those photos. So that might be just sort of a little field trip.
Well, I was just going to say, so on another night, when George and Takashi are here, and what we might do is actually add it to the schedule that we'll do a quick review of the town. So you're new to town. How long have you been here?
Almost a year.
Almost a year. And of course, Brian, you're probably not very familiar. So some night when George and Takashi are here to keep me honest, we'll walk through Ayer. It's 9 square miles.
Mm-hmm.
But we can talk about some of the areas that have been developed, some of the areas that are posing future development, some of the areas that perhaps our commission like ours might have the greatest concern. So when you come through Central, there is there's an old junkyard
Mm-hmm.
in this area right here. Keep coming down. This area over here is all industry. And so there are some areas that we might want to keep our eye on. You know, if it was all residential, we'd have one set of problems, but we have industry in town, and so we have a different set of things to be concerned about. And also, as we discussed, I think several times, Long Pond comes into Sandy, Sandy comes into Fletcher's, Fletcher's comes under the railroad tracks to Balch, and then comes out through the dam, and then comes this way into Harvard, and this way into Grove, into Plow Shop, which goes out through Nonaquacious Brook. Everything's attached. So anything that happens in one of the ponds is going to end up in the others.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it's crucial to think of that as well when we talk about, you know, potentially having a spill or some other kind of issue in one of the ponds. It's not going to stay in one.
Mm-hmm.
It does bring to mind one other little thing I forgot.
Are you kidding me?
Really quickie. I drove Brian over just to look at it too. If you recall our previous RDA National Grid connection applicant
Yes.
mentioned when she came in to pick up her DOA the next day that on the other side of those Jersey barriers,
Yeah.
there's a house for sale right next to
Nonaquacious.
Nonaquacious.
So wait, when I face her house,
You
then you have
face hers.
Nonaquacious Brook,
Right.
then you have the White House on the corner with the garage behind it.
She's talking about this with the white roof. And it's been for sale. It hasn't been occupied for a few years because it's people who previously owned it were flooded out like 3
I got you.
Right, and somebody was looking at it and said he was going to purchase it, and she was concerned because they talked to him about the flooding issues from the brook, and he said, oh, that's okay. He would just put in a retaining wall and bring in fill. And
Good for him.
I said, good for him. I said, well, if you see that happen, let us know, but it's something I think, you know, it would be worth, it's still for sale, so it doesn't have any sold, but if that might be something to just check on it periodically, because that would be a big no-no. So,
Always amazed at what
Mm.
passes for
Yeah,
okay.
I know. Oh, I have a question too. As a commissioner, can I still act as a citizen?
Well, you can act as one, but now it's not possible to just be a citizen. Now
Can
you're
I be a
commissioner. It's
citizen?
kind of all over.
So can you sit there and complain to these guys?
Yeah. Yeah, under citizen concerns. Can I go back and?
No, you get to whine during
That's a
member
member-
updates.
that's a
That's a member
it's
updates?
a
That's
right.
a member update.
Oh, absolutely. It's a
So-
member update.
This is just kind of questioning what's going on.
Sure.
The new development off of Sandy Pond, at the very end of Sandy Pond, right?
Oh, is that where you and I went visiting?
Do you
So
mean
we're-
the end of Wright Road?
End of right?
At the end of Wright Road.
Sure,
The
sure,
Kohler
sure.
place, okay.
Yeah, so, I mean, a lot of woods was cleared,
Absolutely.
Clear cut.
very close down to the marsh.
Right to the erosion control barrier line.
Okay,
Mhm.
is that 100, that's 100 feet from?
Not necessarily.
No, not necessarily?
No. So let's say that this is the wetland.
Okay,
Okay.
all right.
In the state of Massachusetts, there's a 100-foot buffer zone
Right,
that the state says this area is protected by law.
right.
That doesn't mean you can't actually build out into the wetland and do replication somewhere else or do other things. It means that this is an area that's protected.
Right.
So, in order to do this, you would have to meet some pretty stringent criteria. You'd have to say why it was necessary. You'd have to go through an alternatives analysis and say why you absolutely positively had to do that. And I can't imagine very many ideas where that would happen. However, it is allowed under the law for that to happen with then replication of that area. What the law states is that towns can enact bylaws that say, for instance, that maybe the first 50 feet are completely no touch,
Mm-hmm.
or 25 feet,
Mm-hmm.
whatever.
Mm-hmm.
However, in our town, we don't have a bylaw that prevents that. So what we typically do is we say things along the lines of, well, certainly you wouldn't be very close to the wetland, because if you were putting a foundation for a house, how do I put a foundation for a house 10 feet away from the wetland? I can't move a machine around there. I'm not going to be able to do that. You're going to do it by hand? No, we'd use a machine. Well, then that doesn't work, because otherwise your machine would end up in the wetland. And so we condition the applicant to do a project that protects the wetland. Now, quite frankly, for a minor project, hay bales right at the very edge would keep anything from here from ending up down in there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's not a goal of ours to allow that to happen.
Mm-hmm.
However, most applicants are looking for, and this is one of the reasons why it's easier in a residential project than in a commercial project. In a residential project, that landowner doesn't want to be right in the wetland,
Mm-hmm.
because that's what happens to their basement.
Right, right,
As
Right.
this
right.
discussion just centered
Right.
around. They want to be away, uphill, upland from the wetland. And they also probably want a buffer of trees. Something for themselves.
And in this particular case, the Natural Heritage required that 25-foot.
That's right.
So
So-
it's 25 foot?
No touch.
But here's why. Because there's this also an ACEC, an area of critical environmental concern.
That's what I was gonna bring up afterwards, right?
And so as a result, they didn't just file with us, they filed with Natural Heritage, and Natural Heritage spoke up and said, whoa, 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 you have to do it this way.
Okay.
So they started with those conditions, so they probably had a plan, and then they revised their plan, and then
Uh-huh.
they revised their plan. And they finally came up with a plan that met Natural Heritage requirements, and that they knew would meet our requirements, and met the zoning requirements,
Uh-huh.
and that's what they came to us with.
Okay.
So were there a lot of trees cleared?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And the other concern I have, because it's downhill, a lot of the runoff from the street, I don't know how the sewer's gonna be built.
So that's an excellent question. So actually, it would be stormwater,
Stormwater,
Yeah,
right?
no,
Yeah,
no,
Stormwater, yeah.
major difference.
Stormwater and runoff from yards and
Sure.
driveways and,
Sure.
right?
So what happens is that during the project, what they have to do is they provide a plan that shows that they're going to build a system that doesn't let that happen. So the runoff from the driveways and the impervious surface has to have a place to go. They have to show how they've designed it so that that won't end up down in the resource.
Uh-huh.
Frequently on projects, and especially over like in Pingree Hill, a lot of the projects that we did we encourage them to use, we've gone through a series of different buffers, whether they were rocks or Rosa Rugosa.
Rosa
Right?
Rugosa.
We've used different methods to keep people from going closer and closer and closer to the wetland,
Mm-hmm.
trying to make that boundary space so that they can't violate it.
Mm-hmm.
Does a four-house subdivision require stormwater? I think
You know,
it's-
as I remember,
think
it
it's below the
probably
threshold.
did, and it was below the threshold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, however, during our discussion of it, it's not like there's a sluice way from the end of that street right down into the water.
Mm.
We would have discussed it and reviewed the
Mhm.
grading
Yep.
of that project. So interestingly enough, when we get to the point where they start to do construction, we'll go out and we'll take a look. There was a project that was done that almost came before us tonight. Contractor bought a house, or was trying to buy a house over on Ledgeway. He wanted to tear down the existing house and build a new house. Basically a perfectly flat piece of property. Any work that was gonna happen was never gonna end up down in the resource area unless somebody made a mistake. So he ended up in an appeal process because of a zoning regulation with a neighbor who was very interested in making changes to the project and didn't approve of what he had. The two of them went back and forth. He ended up bowing out. Another person came in, modified the project slightly, and the neighbor said that they would not appeal this project. That project went forward, and then there were questions about the grading, and oh my goodness, is that really what it was supposed to look like? I paid extreme attention to the project as we went through the permitting process because we had such contention. And then I visited the site several times during construction to see what was going on. And I was in a great position when this person sent an email to us and said, "Hey, we've got to get our hands around this. The grading looks wrong, and I think the water's going to end up in the street, and all these other things." And I said, "Well, hold on. I visited it during excavation. I visited it when they poured the concrete. I visited it last weekend,
Yeah, 2 days before. the
2
email.
days before the email. There's nothing wrong with the project. It's exactly per the plans, which, since you appealed it, you should probably know inside and out. Everything about the project is exactly the way it's supposed to be." So one of the problems that we frequently run into is that it is hard to visualize what it's going to look like off of a drawing. And so it's crucial that we work with our contractors, work with our applicants to say things like, where's that going to go? How is that run out? Bigger commercial accounts will be done with a surveyor, and they're done to the degree that you can credibly say, I know where that's going to go. I know what's going to happen. And when it hasn't been such a big deal, we have allowed other applicants to come in with plans that maybe didn't meet that high standard because they were simple projects, like the addition over at the gun club.
Mhm.
The addition over at the gun club
Mhm.
comes out of the gun club and then goes over 70 or 80 feet of flat grass
Mhm.
before it comes down to a man-made pond.
Mhm.
I am not worried.
Mhm. Mhm.
The soil from their
Mhm.
project is never going to end up in the pond.
Mhm. Mhm.
However, we did require that they put hay bales around for exactly the reason that we
Mhm.
required everyone to do that, because mistakes happen and people make big piles of soil and it rains really crazy hard for 3 days. So, we followed the process. But there are projects we're more concerned about and projects we're not.
Mhm.
And a bigger project
Mhm.
like that, which has the opportunity to cause a
Potential.
long-term problem,
Mhm.
those are the ones you pay the most attention to.
Mhm.
I did show Brian beginning of Kohler Place. They
Excellent.
do have a gravel entryway laid
Rumble
out.
strip.
Rumble strip. And also because you mire your tires down in it if you drove elsewhere. And I see at this point they're just still removing material from their
Trees and soil, or just
clear
trees?
cutting. Looks like trees and
Boulders.
boulders and
So I'm not the happiest person in the world to see a bunch of clear cutting either, but I also understand that it turns out that in general, if you have a house, somebody cut a tree down.
Yeah.
It probably happened.
Mm-hmm.
So
Hey, it's New The tree probably,
Trees grow big and,
they've been growing up since your house. you
Yep,
know, the
yep.
regrowth of New England, that whole
There
thing.
was certainly
Yep.
a tree there before your house at one
Yes.
time or another.
Yeah.
It's not really a question.
And way before that, were not trees, because
Yeah, there were ice.
was pretty cleared.
Which is
By
really
the
cool.
colonial
So the
period.
trees are now regrown.
Ah, yes.
Mhm.
Right. Yeah, no, there's a, and I hate to quote it because I can't remember the exact number, but there was a study, I don't want to quote it at all. Long story short, there was a study that talked about the percentage of forest in New England and how it had grown over the years, and in fact is not diminishing at all, despite the fact that we continue to have growth. We continue to have house building and construction.
Yeah.
That the area that's under forest is actually, if anything, increasing moderately, but it's still increasing. And it's an astronomical change since colonial times when everything
was
around you was fuel.
Yeah, it sure was.
So,
But there's still a loss of habitat. I mean, going back to that little parcel, I mean, it was, it is a loss of little habitat in that little area.
no, it
Sorry,
is.
but
No, another
just
tree
being-
hugger. Welcome, sister.
And it is because it's so
Yeah.
close to, it's just it was so close to that beautiful little, little, what would you call it?
I call it the inlet stream.
The inlet stream.
Yeah, because it
Yeah.
runs from Long Pond.
Yeah, I mean, it's
It
a
runs from Long Pond to Lower Long Pond.
lower
see that,
Long
see
Pond
the little
to
blue
Long
area?
Pond. Yep.
Yeah.
Up,
It's
yep.
called Lower Long Pond, although
It
not
was-
on the USGS map, which means it's
Upper.
a neighborhood naming convention. But
Yeah.
no, it does, and it is in a special place, and it is disappointing. But since we couldn't and didn't buy the piece of property, it is what it is.
So Air couldn't buy it.
We
tried. Did we
we
try?
did.
Well,
try.
there was a discussion about buying the piece of property,
And there was an offer made. Things had been delayed. We had, because there had been litigation on the part of somebody who owns a strip that has to be crossed to get to that parcel.
There's an easement
An
across that
easement.
parcel.
An easement.
Yes, another
There's an
easement.
easement.
And,
And there was a debate about the validity of that easement.
yeah, language on the easement when that strip had been sold several owners earlier, decades ago. There had been language in the original deed that talked about a crossing easement, and somehow that language disappeared from subsequent deeds, and the current owner.
Which, by the way, makes no sense whatsoever because that's
Right.
not possible.
That's unfortunate, huh?
Yeah, so there was
Unfortunate.
litigation there, and then, so before the town could consider purchasing it, we had to get something from town council supporting the crossing easement. And by the time town council got that done,
It was over a year.
it was
wasn't
over
A
a
little too
It
year,
late.
was over a year.
and somebody else by that point had come
Oh,
forward.
well. Snooze, you lose, I guess, huh?
You snooze, you lose.
Here, Bonnie. Here's a little nugget for you to chew on that might be a more appropriate funnel for the outrage that comes with much of the world. I'm assuming that you wash your clothes, right? And,
I don't know.
and when you walk down that
Not
aisle,
tonight.
you see a lot of spring rain and fresh rain and like beautiful clover rain and like all the advertising is all this lovely
Sure, yeah.
rainness,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And now you are here in a position that gives you a lot of say over stormwater, which, in a manner of speaking, is exactly the same thing as the rain. And why is stormwater something regulated, whereas a spring rain is something that you want your clothes to smell like?
On that happy note. All right. Do you have any other member concerns you'd like to express? And again, it's your time to do so. Although at some point you'll be chastised for it, but that's fine.
No, I don't want to
For
go
now.
any. I'll stop right
You're
here.
all good right there?
I'm fine. I got that out. I get that out of my system.
Fair enough. Did you have anything else that we needed to discuss?
Oh yeah, just some the direction of the job and some things that have come up that Jess said was probably an appropriate thing to raise here.
Excellent.
Handful of things.
And inappropriate for me to
Yeah, because
To answer?
unilaterally.
Okay. Well, go ahead. What do you
so,
got?
for instance, previous inhabitants of that desk have been very fond of keeping paper records. and I really wouldn't like some of this stuff. And we found the Public Records Training Workshop printout from the January 17th, 2013. It's got some guidelines.
Excellent.
And for instance, one guideline was that agendas of meetings need to be kept for a year. We have like 6 or 7 or 8 years.
Dump them.
Fair enough. But what I wanted to say was,
No offense.
is there any particular record that you're keeping or that you have that you may want to go above and beyond what the state's rules, regs, and suggestions?
Here's what I want you to do. So here's how I think we should approach it. Okay, we're talking about, as people like to say, inconveniencing electrons, right? So why don't you reach out to the nice lady Cindy? Right.
Cindy and I've said town clerk as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let's start with
downstairs
Cindy because
first.
she's IT.
Oh, okay.
So she's the one who's best going to be able to talk to you about scanning, the tools for doing so, and storage once you've done so.
Mhm.
So I have no problem keeping everything you can scan in that office electronically. No problem whatsoever. Now the problem is if we keep it here, then, you know, so first off, are you familiar with offsite storage for data integrity purposes?
The specifics of the town's details? Not yet.
Okay. So what I would be interested in, this is where we're going to turn it into a research project, please. Tell Cindy that what you're interested in doing is capturing this information so that we can either mothball the paper records or get rid of them altogether. It is delightful, don't get me wrong, to pick up that piece of paper that's 70 years old. I do appreciate that. And there's something to be said for that. But at the same time, if something happens to it, then it's lost forever.
Mm-hmm.
So it would be much better to collect that information, store it in a way that then becomes tricky because now you have to figure out how to have your data management. So everything should be done by address.
So let me back this up a little bit.
Sure.
So for instance, sticking with the meeting agendas,
Mm-hmm.
the state says you need to keep them for a year.
Sure.
At which point, last August's meeting agendas can be crumpled up and thrown away, and the state's okay with them not being there.
Sure.
Is what you're saying? Scan all of the
Well, so
6
hold
or
on.
7 years of past meeting agendas.
What I'm
Well,
actually
they're
saying to you
actually
is
in there. Yeah.
let's talk to Cindy about what that means to Cindy. So the town, by definition, probably only has so much storage space or only keeps records in a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
So what I would be interested to find out from Cindy is what are her recommendations. If she knows that we have all the records we have up there, scanning those, where do we store them? Do they get stored off site? What happens if there's a fire in town hall? You hear those stories.
Mm-hmm.
Does she have a way that the town stores documents off site? Do we use a system or another agency to do that? So is there a way for us to do that? So for instance, in keeping with your 1 year, so right now, what happens to that information if something were to happen? Where does it go? How is it kept safe? So that we meet our obligation.
Mm-hmm.
Cindy's the right person to talk to about all that first. Storage capacity, means of getting it into storage, how is it stored offsite, etc. From there, we can formulate our plan. If Cindy comes back and says, excuse me, oh my goodness, data management is hugely expensive, then we would plan it one way. If she comes back and she says, that's a no-brainer, let's do that, and here's where we mothball all the records to, then great, then we'll do that. But let's start with Cindy because at the end of the day, she's the one who's going to control your overall effect.
Okay.
Make sense?
Yeah. The other great example that I found is the resumes from a 2012 temp hire.
Becky saved things.
Wow.
Burn them.
Yeah. So
Things
that's
like,
the first thing
Yeah.
that came to mind is I got to figure out what the restrictions, what the limitations, what the
So if it's a
But-
public record, then it's worth saving.
yes
If it's happened at one of our meetings, it's worth saving. Meeting agendas and being able to go
are
back.
indefinite.
We would absolutely want to save every one of them we can because you never know when you're going to go back and you're going to say, what the heck were we talking
This
about in
won't allow you to.
2001?
This won't allow you to. Meeting minutes, right? Am I remembering this right, Jess? Or as far back as they go, you keep them all.
yeah, meeting,
Yeah.
meeting
Yeah.
minutes are.
Oh,
in
absolutely.
perpetuity.
No, absolutely. We'd want to do that. But I'm just saying, even anything that pertains to one of the meetings that we can save. It's not like we have to rent a place to store the equipment, to store the material. We're talking about electronic files. It's
Now,
minor.
the other thing I would suggest, though, is that you do go to the state website, the Municipal Records Retention Manual, because along with the perpetuities issue, there is a application for destruction permission form.
So to destroy those resumes, I need to
Oh, no,
ask
the
somebody.
resumes.
No, I'm
Are
sure
you
it's-
sure?
No.
Well, so hold on. Figure it out. So, no. This is, so you have the time
Yep.
to dig into this, figure it out, make your own conclusions, talk to us about it at that next meeting. If you have any concerns or questions, we have resources here in town. We can go back to Robert. Robert must be facing this from other groups. So Robert's town administrator, and so it would be perfectly appropriate for you to say, "Hey, I read through this state gobbledygook, and quite frankly, this is what I think. What do you think?"
All right.
And that way we'll protect ourselves. But you are the right person to figure this out. You are the right person to dig into this, and you are going to be the person who implements it. So let's start that.
Game on. All right. And then, so the computer upstairs doesn't have GIS on it. Is that something that I'm allowed to play with? Does GIS work in the town flow through somebody else?
Well, I don't think there is any GIS work in town right now. The person to talk to about that would be Mark Wetzel. Mark Wetzel, as a DPW superintendent, is probably the only person who would be doing anything with GIS. So give Mark a call and say, "Hey, I was just wondering about GIS here in town.
Okay.
Who's doing it? Is there a..." Because I don't even know.
You might, land records or zoning may.
Yeah, but I don't
you'd
think...
know about it if they had it.
I think we would have read. I think we would have heard about it, and also I don't think that the sophistication is there for those boards right now. So the person who would be most likely to embrace GIS is Mark. Mark is a professional engineer. He's worked in industry for years and years and years. If anybody was going to tell you about GIS in town, it's Mark. And if anybody was going to give you a story about why GIS wasn't here, it's Mark.
Fair enough.
So that's where I'm good.
He's been on vacation this week, but the DPW is housed in a different building about a half mile away from town hall.
Okay.
Best to get him by email and try and secure an appointment to talk to him.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, the one thought was you had a gal appear before the commission discussing, there was a school that was doing
Oh,
some-
right.
She was using
Okay.
GIS, and,
Yeah.
and it may be that the school's GIS, but there might be another source of information for you. I
Okay.
can't remember.
No, you're right. It
Just
was
notes.
Beth. It was Beth Sudemeyer. And
Uh,
but I'll put it this way: if we don't have a tool for you to input data into, then all you're doing is seeing what other people have done, and it's not.
Right.
I would talk to Mark about that, and there may be a plan to do that. There may not be a plan to do that.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't have any feel for the costs. I don't have a feel for any of it.
Actually, there doesn't have to be a cost, but that's another story.
Well,
That's
from a-
freeware stuff. Anyway.
Everything in the town has a cost, and and then there's also the usefulness of it, and what is the actual utility of it for the town. So
The example, the question when I asked Jess that led to this was just saying, hey, do we know which properties fall within Concom jurisdiction?
that's an excellent question.
And that would be a very simple GIS question to answer.
Sure.
And the software wasn't installed in the field. Like, is this not a role that's supposed to be, this role is a GIS person specifically, and I go and I make a request for something, or not?
My guess is there
But
is
I'll
no
talk.
person.
Yeah.
There is no person. Reach out to Mark, find out about availability, etc., and then work backwards from there.
Okay.
Only
Be
thing
super
I-
excited to hear about it
Yeah.
next meeting.
The only thing I'd add to that is a caveat: if we had those overlays and stuff, it would still have to be qualified because wetlands change.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
There'd be an
so-
asterisk at the end of all the conclusions. Yeah.
Right, well, you know, a safe way to
Sometimes
do it would be to
they
go out 150 feet and just say that these are the likely areas.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Can't lose there.
Right. Anyway, so I'll have a
250
chat
from
with Mark.
rivers and streams.
250 from rivers and streams, sure.
And then, so the schedule that we're putting together.
Mm-hmm.
So Monday, Tuesday, we'll do a Monday morning, like 9:30 to 12:30 schedule, and then like a Tuesday afternoon, like 11:30 to 3:30 posted hours for visiting,
That's perfect.
and then Thursday evenings.
Yep.
Which on a meeting week adds up to the more or less the desired hours. On a
Right.
non-meeting week, it doesn't necessarily add up because there's no meeting Thursday. Those hours can't come from nowhere.
Let's do this then. And this is something that I don't know that we had asked before, and we probably should.
Oh, whether you can fudge around hours?
Well,
No, that's
we answered that
illegal.
question.
No, no.
No.
In that sense, I did ask Kevin if you depending on somebody's schedule, if you wanted to work 21 hours this week and 17 hours the next week. He said the idea of it is that you're generally working 19-hour work week. If the employee wants to, that's okay.
Did that come out in writing?
No. That was
So-
verbal exchange.
So where this is going is leaving sort of buffer sloshing hours
Sure.
for phone calls, emails, potentially from home, because you can do that nowadays, and site visits on weekends or random things that don't fit. To leave that roughly, what would you say, like 5 to 6 hour buffer of unassigned time,
Sure.
if that seemed agreeable.
It does. I guess what I wanted to find out is, so here's how our typical schedule works. So yeah, Monday through Friday, and on a week when we have a meeting, we will often have a site walk on a Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if you build this around 19 hours because we have a meeting, and you account for approximately 4 or so hours for the meeting,
Mm-hmm.
then does this Saturday count for this week or the next week?
And according to the things that are not in writing, as long as you're in that 2-week pay period, you can do your
Sure.
39 hours worth.
So what I would love to see is break this out just like this and say, look, during a meeting week, so if you said it was Saturday through Friday of a meeting week, there's that 4 hours. The next week, which is a non-meeting week, that 4 hours from a Saturday of site walks, etc., approximately 4 hours of Saturday site walks, that falls into the next week, and therefore your office hours still work out to be about the same. Or does that 4 hours fall during this meeting week, in which case it means that during a week where we have meetings, you would actually have less hours in the office or slush time.
Mhm.
So we need to find out, how does the week run, and is it effectively 38 hours over 2 weeks, or is it truly 19 per week?
And you would love to see something printed with words connected to words that say you are
It would be
kosher.
crucial for us to have that kind of information in writing so that we could refer to it in the future when we had meetings when we talked about it.
All right. And,
Either that, or my guess is, and I may have to go back to the paperwork we just had, it would be approved right up until 21 years after the death of the former president's living decedent.
that's an amazing piece of language.
That is some pretty unbelievable stuff.
Okay, and then I talked to Jess about this already. Obviously, I talked to Jess about everything already. She's already told me this is kind of not going to happen, but I'm going to raise it anyway. Because Natick is also a Thursday meeting, and so when we get into
How did you make that happen?
But first and third Thursdays of the month as opposed to second and fourth.
Which means in
Right.
November and December.
or in any situation where something has to get bumped, Natick gets bumped. And so, in the interest of theoretically doubling up on my Concom time and being exposed to situations on that end that might come in handy at some point over here, and that kind of thing. If there was a a process or a thought or a conversation that might be starting to say, oh, yeah, we want you at those. We'll move ours to here, as opposed to, oh, no, we are so locked in. You're the new guy. We've been doing this for decades. We are not moving poor Natick building.
Well, I appreciate your
Anyway.
sway there. But it isn't because you're the new guy. It's because our meeting schedule is posted in January for the entire year. So
Perhaps
don't change.
January would be the time to have this conversation, or December.
Well, but you won't know because you said they get bumped.
Well, yeah, but in a manner of speaking, Natick doesn't pay me to be there.
Yes.
Yeah. And so it would be in any situation where, for, like the holidays, where things get moved around, the conflicts that will potentially occur, if there is a way to remove those conflicts, and Natick's not moving their days, those guys have been there. The conservation agents have been there for like 30 years. 2 of the people have been there for 10 years. 2 others have been there for like 20 years. Thursdays are settled.
Sure.
So
Unfortunately,
anyway,
ours are kind of the same. So I think
fair enough.
I guess what I would say to you is we base our dates around the fact that by holding our dates the same way during the year, we make sure that when folks apply, their meetings are held. We're able to, we're effectively doubling up on the number of meetings we need to have, just as apparently you are in Natick. So, and the only reason that we change our meeting schedule at all is for the holidays.
All right.
The other reason is the sanctity of this room. So years ago, there were battles about this room because of the way that the meeting schedules fell. So, and we had actually been banished at one point because
Before my time.
because there was an issue with the clerk who, when the meeting schedule changed, would put planning board or zoning board in here because they were elected, and we would get kicked out over to the police department. And that was aggravating. However, there's no bitterness, and she's long gone. No, this is a much better room for people to come and visit us, and so I don't know. I understand where you're coming from, and I'm not at all upset being chastised as so steady, so fixed in our ways. But yes, we are. So that's just how that works.
Fair enough.
But if there's something that we can talk about in January when we go over the year and say, is there any leeway? Again, at the holidays are the only tricky one. November and December. All the rest of it, it's 2nd and 4th, and
In summer too, Natick backs off to just 1. So
there you go.
But anyway, I know there's going to be a conflict at some point, and
Actually,
conflict reduction is good.
maybe we should do that next summer.
Back off to one. It depends. Well,
Because people go on vacation, people stop
Yeah,
coming
busy.
and doing things, stuff just backs off.
I
Can you
never even
foresee
thought
that?
about that.
or we could do that in December.
Huh.
Hey, I just reduced my conflict. We don't have to move the days. We just have to
Reduce.
kick one meeting out,
meetings.
flat out. Just be done with it.
Well, as we get further into the fall, you will be the one doing the schedule for next year.
Really tempting.
Yeah.
The look on his face is amazing.
Yeah.
Well, that's because I never thought about it. It was, it was always the schedule.
Yeah.
And we actually amped it up back in '03.
So 2 meetings a month.
Yeah, because when I started, it was 1 meeting a month, and we went to 2 meetings a month to make sure that we covered everything. We had, we didn't want to hold up a homeowner who wanted to put a deck on or put an addition on her. That didn't seem right. And so we didn't do that. We stuck to the course and we added meetings, and I always took that as a real badge of
Run
honor
off the
that that's
table.
what we do. So
Well,
interesting.
there you go. Next time, vacations happen and nobody's going to be there, you're going to have a short month. You can drop one.
But I prefer the idea of doing it in the winter than doing it in the fall. Right now, doing it in the summer. The idea being that in November and December, even if you came in and made an application to us, we can't see the vegetation, and it's going to snow, so we'll come right out there in April when we can see what you flagged and validated. So pretty much during those winter months, that would be the time to cut to one meeting a month. Because there's no point in seeing you.
Yeah.
There's no point in having a hearing, other than to say, thanks, that was great, we'll talk about all this again in 3 months when we come out to your job. Yeah, December, January cut back.
November.
That's even better.
The snow months. I mean, if you're going to
Well,
talk
that's
about
even
snow,
better,
it's
too.
February and March and maybe April.
Well, no, it would be December, January, because
Right.
you'll start to have people come in February,
Right.
March, and April because they're praying for less snow. This
It's
year
that
was
process. Yeah.
I sent a photograph the other day that I took. I had some great fox tracks in my yard in January in the half-inch of snow that we had on the ground on January 15th.
Yeah.
So think about what it looked like a couple months later. January 15th, if you had been rooting for a light winter, you were winning.
Yeah.
But
We did do the approval for Family Dollar with a site walk in the beginning of January.
we did,
You could see
although
things.
to be fair,
Yeah.
the application did not really require us to see the vegetation because we were talking about a stream.
Right.
So we could end up in the same boat. But January, February, March, that's a perfectly good time to cut back to one meeting a month. Wow, that one meeting a month.
Yeah.
Why are you counseling again?
Oh,
Where were you
no,
going?
I'm saying that actually wouldn't, that, I mean, would be more in the holiday months of November, December that would actually solve some of your,
Oh yeah, the conflict. The point of bringing this up, November, December would be better off that way.
yeah.
But you know, if the need to be here is not necessarily there,
Well,
whether or
let's-
not it's the holiday months.
Yeah.
we have 10 minutes to discuss it. That's the other thing. We hold to a 10 o'clock shut-off time because
I'm okay
people
with
work
that.
the next day.
Well, we can chew on it when everybody else
No,
is
no,
here.
no.
and-
I definitely want to take it up with George and Takashi because if I like it this much, George won't. So let's figure out why. Let's figure out why and where to go with it.
Yeah.
Fair
No,
enough.
I think it's a great idea, and if it does reduce conflict for you, I'm happy about that. I just don't want to put ourselves in a position where, you know, we make such a great change that somebody says, well, gosh, I thought I'd, you know, be able to come in and do this because you guys have always done that.
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah, it's a relatively big ask.
well, for one meeting a month in November and December, it really is.
That's not a
November
big
and
ask.
December
No, moving
are
it-
slim.
Skipping Thursdays is a big ask, but dropping a meeting here and there, yeah, that's a little simpler.
We'll figure it out.
Anyway,
If you could coordinate it with a good game.
Absolutely. 9 minutes. What else you got?
that'll do for now.
Excellent. Excellent. Mr. New, did you have anything you'd like to talk about tonight, sir?
Nope. Good shape, thanks.
Excellent. Well, then I will allow Jess to make that motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second that.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.